up? Yeah.
Kane is in the building.
Yeah. Already the show goes on all night till the morning. We dream so long. Anybody ever wonder when they would see the sun? Just remember when you come up. The show goes on. Already the show goes on all night till the morning. We dream so long. Anybody ever wonder when they would see the sun? Just remember when you come up. The show goes on.
Have you ever had the feeling that you was being had? Don't that shit that make you mad? They treat you like a slave, put chains all on your soul and put whips up on your back. They be lying through they teeth, hope you slip up off your path. I don't switch up, I just laugh, put my kicks up on they desk, unaffected by...
Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of State of the Jungle War Room with Malik Wright, presented by First Star Logistics. I'm your host, of course, Malik Wright. Joined by my co-host as always. We've got Evan in the building. We've got Logan in the building. We got our special guest, Strawberry with Ice, my guy Jeff in the building. And we got today's GM in the building, Daniel Alameda. Guys, you said what?
Appreciate it.
Congrats on the promotion, right?
Thank you.
Certain people got fired. So, we're counting on other people to be able to, do the job admirably today, if you will. But guys, today is the last State of the Jungle until next year.
War room.
War room. Sorry.
Yeah.
War room.
This guy's on top of his job.
I'm just sad because this is truly, this month is one of my favorite months to do State of the Jungle, obviously, because it's a different scenery, if you will. But the scenery is changing, guys, as well. Today is our final show from our current studios, our current First Star Logistics studio. Starting on Friday, which we'll be doing our live draft stream. We will be at the new First Star Logistics studio. And believe me when I tell you this, everything that we do at First Star is always bigger, better, trend-setting, and changing the game. We changed the game with the live streams, and it seems like everybody's doing it now. We love that, though. The fact that this new studio is going to allow us to do so much more. And at this new studio, you can get you in the trenches with Dave Lapham. Obviously, Joe Goodberry is still going to be in the First Star Media Group YouTube channel with Bengals on the Brain. But you guys can catch the sit down. You guys can get State of the Jungle and get so much. And I'm just pumped up about it, guys. I really am pumped up about it. I have enjoyed doing State of the Jungle from this location. And it kind of is like bittersweet for me because I've only known this location since I started here. But, the good times are rolling, right? The good times are rolling. And if you're not improving, if you're not getting better, if you're not evolving, what are you doing then? So I'm happy that we are getting this new studio. I'm excited for you guys to see it. We had the opportunity to potentially do the show from there tonight, or even do tomorrow's draft, reaction to round one there tonight. But I was like, no. I want to wait. I want to wait for the people to see it on the draft stream. But I guess this is me saying sayonara to this location that has, been really, really a great building block for State of the Jungle. Because honestly, guys, when you guys knew when I first moved out to Cincinnati, I never pictured to be doing a Bengals show. That was not my goal. But, in the words of Michael Corleone, just when I thought I was finished, they pulled me back in. And, with that being said, we do have the last State of the Jungle War Room to attend to. But before we jump into that, I'd be remiss if I didn't address Trey Hendrickson requesting a trade. Ask me what that means to me, Evan.
Malik, what's that mean to you, buddy?
Nothing. It means absolutely nothing to me.
Absolutely. Can you get a little Edwin Starr in there with that?
This is the same team that saw their franchise quarterback by the name of Carson Palmer. Now, I was young. I was still young, right? Because some people think I'm old, I guess. But you're not old. You're not. But look, I was young. But I'll tell you this. The Bengals, they laugh. They smirk at your trade requests. And part of that is they just really value the guys that they value. And some instances, they overvalue the guys that they have. And so when I look at the Cincinnati Bengals, I see Bengals Nation are like, fuck Trey Hendrickson, because I'm seeing a lot of that right now
even in the
on
comments.
social media. I'm
Crazy
telling
how quick
everybody,
it changes from the
relax. Relax. He ain't going nowhere. Woosah. He's not going nowhere. Unless the team is prepared to come to the Bengals with multiple first-round picks, he ain't going nowhere. This is the same team, and this is what people tell me when people say, "Oh, well, the Bengals can move up in the draft and try to do this and do." Or let me know the last time the Cincinnati Bengals lost a trade. I'll wait. It's just something that they don't do, and so they're certainly not going to trade their Pro Bowl, one of the best sack artists they've had here in Cincinnati, for a bag of chips. It's great that all this is coming out on the eve of the draft, right? Yeah. It's great that all this come out on the eve of the draft. So I guess I'm going to take a page out of Aaron Rodgers' book. Relax. It ain't happening. He's not being traded. Can he hold out and all that kind of stuff like that? Sure, I don't know. All I'm going to say is I wouldn't read too much into it. I think Trey is a stand-up guy. I had the opportunity to meet him last year. Me and Daniel hung out with him. Got to talk with him for hours. Him and his wife are awesome people. So, no, I won't be the guy who come out with pitchforks and say F Trey Hendrickson and say this and say that. No, relax. Listen, nothing is going to kill my vibe. In the words of Kendrick Lamar, don't kill my vibe. Nothing is killing my vibe right now because the draft is tomorrow. Bengals fans, be excited. We have players who are going to be disgruntled with the team. But guess what? The cool thing about the Cincinnati Bengals is they control the narrative. They control what happens with said players. T. Higgins can ask for a trade. They control what happens there. Trey Hendrickson could ask for a trade. They control what happens there. The goal remains the same, regardless if you ask for a trade or not. And that's a mission to bring a Lombardi trophy to Cincinnati this upcoming year. Amen. Everything else we're not trying to hear about. So I know there's been a while since you guys have heard me give an opening monologue to the goddamn show. And hopefully this got you guys pumped up to some degree for the last State of the Jungle War Room episode 5, where Daniel is the general manager. But I just want to tell all Bengals fans again to just relax. It's okay. Paycor isn't burning down. Cincinnati isn't burning down. You can request all the trades you want. The Bengals hold it in their hands. And I'll leave you with this. They're not trading Trey Hendrickson. Mic drop. So with that being said, Daniel, are you ready to be the general manager?
Yeah, one last thing I want to say on the Trey Hendrickson.
Okay.
No, real quick.
Yeah.
Just, guys, do not blame Trey. This is something that you can say, oh, he's being selfish. Damn right, he deserves to be selfish. Yeah. So this whole thing with Trey Hendrickson, I just really, guys, do not be mad at him. He's doing what's best for him. Sure, 99% of the players out there would. So I'm excited. I'm ready, Malik.
Have you got anything else you want to add before we get out of there?
Yeah, I guess from the looks of it, the extension last year was just adding money to last year. Weird. So if you're looking in terms of cash paid out this year compared to other edges who are getting 17 plus sacks in a season, then yeah, he absolutely has a case. The Bengals also have a case in saying, hey, we have you under contract and
for 2 years.
Right. And when you sign a contract, that's generally what you do. But on the other side of that, teams don't always uphold the contracts that they agree to either. So I think this is just a timely ploy by his agent. And you can see that when he says, oh, we want a long-term deal, but he might retire. And if he's not a long-term deal, we want to trade.
He might switch positions too.
The thing is, if you're asking for a trade to another team, do you think that other team is going to want to give you a long-term extension if you just threaten to retire? That doesn't make sense. That all kind of lends itself to me that I think the Bengals take care of this. I think they throw him some extra money for this year. I think that gets things done. But also, I think this is an important reminder to ourselves that Joseph Osai, Cam Sample, Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson are all going to be replaced in the next 2 years. As it stands right now, at least half of those guys are gone after this year. So edge is definitely a position you want to try and bolster a little bit. Now, whether there's a lot of free agent edges out there to be had, but not currently necessarily, but every free agent cycle, right? But yeah, if you want one of those guys who can really be a high impact guy, I will definitely be looking harder at guys like a Jonah Ellis in these mid rounds.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, you mean to tell me there's a chance? There's a chance that Edge might enter the chat because I've been the guy that's been banging the table the last few war rooms for an Edge.
Pick good edges though. Like Nelson Caesar. No, I'm going to throw up over myself.
It's athletic pro player. I'm kidding. But in all seriousness though, man, somebody said to me, it was like, Malik, you keep doing this final boss thing, yada, yada, yada on Twitter. Can we finally get a finally? You know how The Rock says finally? I might do it for you at some point during the show, but I will say finally we are at draft week, and finally we're going to get this show started. So Daniel, without further ado, general manager / board operator, Daniel Alameda, take us home. Let's go.
GM and board operator.
Man, what a promotion.
All right.
Hopefully. All right, Caleb
Caleb
Williams.
Williams.
Sweet. Glad we didn't get too crazy. Drake May.
That's looking more and more possible now with
Marvin Harrison at 3.
with Jaden not apparently being happy about the Top Golf incident, which is just objectively hilarious. Like,
Oh, man.
can you imagine like if Washington was going to pick Daniels the whole time, and now just like a week or two before the
Brock Bowers
draft,
to
they
the
got
Titans. Wait. Let's pause on that for a second.
I don't think that's.
Yo, I don't think that's that crazy.
If Alt's gone, that's like.
I don't think that's crazy though. You know, I had the
really not.
opportunity to finally give Who Dey Nation the great debate that they were waiting for yesterday, where I cooked. But one of the things that people have been saying is how great and how generational Brock Bowers is. Guess what? If he's the quote unquote greatest tight end, like some people are saying, I know Evan has a hard time with that as well, because me and you both agree. How can we call somebody the greatest tight end of all time? We don't know. That and like the measurables, like they didn't test. Like there's so many question marks. But I understand. I'll give in. I'll oblige. Right? There are a lot of people out there that say Brock Bowers is an elite prospect. So, do you think Cincinnati is the only team that may think that Brock Bowers is a quote unquote elite prospect? Furthermore, if said team believes that, and Marissa, put the camera on me really quickly, please. If you think that in your mind that the Bengals are the only team that thinks Brock Bowers is quote unquote elite, you're sadly mistaken. I think trying to find narratives to make sure you push this guy to 18 is wishful thinking. I can look at several teams on this board that pick before the Bengals where I can make a case for Brock Bowers becoming said team's favorite draft pick. I look at the Jets, right? And I look at everything. We dissected it. We went in detail yesterday where I feel like I carved into their roster, and I looked at everything that they've done has signaled we are trying to make sure we don't pigeonhole ourselves for the draft. We don't make sure we don't pigeonhole our. They answered the edge position, right, with Hassan Reddick trade. They got that 3-tech next to their beast of a defensive tackle and Quinnen Williams with Javon Kinlaw. Everything that they did, Mike Williams signing, Alan Lazard still being there. You got Garrett Wilson as their number one. Everything that they did was saying we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves. But the analogy I gave yesterday is very similar to the video game NCAA, where you have a couple of phone calls and that you can make, you can exasperate as much usage with said prospect. That's what the Jets have done with Brock Bowers. Because right now, as it stands, the Jets starting tight end is Tyler Conklin. So when people say, oh, well, it'll be stupid for the Jets to draft him. Would it be, though? Because let's face it, they probably have one, maybe two, maybe three max years left with Aaron Rodgers. Let's load up on offense. Let's make something unstoppable, because the simple fact of the matter is, for the last couple of off seasons, what have the Jets told us? Every team has an MO. Every team has an identity of what they are trying to do. The Bengals' identity, the Bengals' MO, what they've been trying to do the last few off seasons, fix the offensive tackle position, fix the interior defensive line. They begged defensive linemen to come to Cincinnati, interior defensive linemen like Jerron Reed. They said no. They were given the hand in the face several times. They have been so hell-bent on getting their guy. I'm sorry. Sheldon Rankins and BJ Hill are great 1-2 punch, rotating in and out for each other. That's the BJ Hill, Ilario Kinjobi replacement again. But who is that next guy next to him? We put so much focus, right? And it's before I even get to the Bengals pick. We put so much focus on the nose tackle. But guess what? If you get a guy that is good at stopping the run and rushing the passer equally, you don't have to hone in on a guy that does one thing specifically great. And that's the biggest thing that I want people to understand. Do you think that the Rams were saying, oh my God, we really need a nose tackle next to Aaron Donald? No, they have freaking Aaron Donald. If you have a game-changing player versus how I look at the Bengals interior defensive line, this is no shot at any of the guys that they have there. I think they have very good pieces. The analogy I gave yesterday is they're very similar to the Toronto Raptors, a team with a lot of good pieces before they traded everybody. What happened when they got Kawhi Leonard? Took them all to the top. You get a defensive tackle and interior defensive lineman that is able to rush the passer effectively and be a guy that can play all 3 downs, you're cooking. So my thought process is when Brock Bowers goes here at wherever he goes, right? But here on this mock draft, he goes at 7. It makes sense. Right now, the Titans starting tight end is Chigoziem. He sucks. He sucks.
Well, I mean, the other thing is too, right? If it makes so much obvious sense for the Bengals and they should ignore Mike Gesicki and Sample and everybody and Hudson and everybody else they have, why doesn't it make sense for other teams ahead of them to ignore the lackluster depth they have?
Yeah.
You're telling me, like you said, the Jets with Tyler Conklin there, with the Bears with Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett, is that stopping you? Right? Is that much better than Mike Gesicki and Drew Sample? So I just don't see why other teams are going to pass because they have mediocre tight ends either. Like, especially
Or why wouldn't a team trade up?
Right. I hear 3 or 4 other teams that are very, very interested in him between picks 8 and 15, and I'm just not convinced he makes it to the Bengals.
And for the Bengals, if they were going to trade up or whatever, get Brock Bowers, why didn't they get a tight end last year?
I think he would need
There's
elite
8,000
athletic
freaking
testing.
tight ends last year. They didn't draft him
Right.
last year. They don't value the tight end. They don't. And like
You need a
listen,
100% perfect profile if you're going to be trading up for a tight end in the
and
first.
They
And-
need right tackle. They
Right.
need interior defense line. That's what they need. They don't need a tight end. They don't.
Listen, I just think that this is the 1 year, guys. Let's not overcomplicate it. And yes, I'm on fire because it's the eve of the draft. And guys, I've been live almost. I've done so much draft
Grinding.
content coverage this week. So I'm surprised that I have this much energy.
I know you came out.
You get riled up with Brock Bowers, man.
I just want to, because I just think we just think so crazy.
Here he goes.
We think so crazy. The fact of the matter is, you've been trying to find that guy in the middle of your defense for so many off seasons. And to be honest with you, I don't think it's fair to lose. Some people were complaining in the comment section, well, we can't draft defense another year. What? What do you draft? If we follow the rule that we're drafting best player available. And I know that this is kind of going far. If we go by that rule of draft, if it brings you to a defensive player, that is how good teams stay good. Because you'll imagine if the Eagles said, oh, we're not going to draft Jalen Carter because we've got Fletcher Cox and we've got Jordan Davis. No, good teams will continue to add. The Bengals had the 31st ranked defense last year. Yes, the 31st ranked defense last year. And guess what? Speaking on Trey Hendrickson, he's the one guy that has shown the ability consistently to rush the passer. Right? He's the only guy.
Yeah.
BJ Hill, Sheldon Rankins, they play the same exact position essentially. They both are 3 techs. They both rush the passer. Who was that next guy next to them? I don't care a damn about a true nose tackle because nobody's drafting a true nose tackle in the first round right now. Nobody's doing that. You want a guy with that upside that can rush the passer, that can stop the run.
It's a damn shame that the only nose tackle that fit that description went and was doing some dumb shit.
Right. So, again, and
Like
even
he got
if
pivoted.
he wasn't getting going in the first round, Devontae Sweat wasn't going in the first round.
Right.
So I just say all that to say this. Don't overthink it. It's easy to get to the draft and be like, oh, I want my team to draft this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy, and we're going to deal in the world of not reality. Let's deal in reality. Let's not overcomplicate it because be thankful JJ McCarthy is being pushed up draft boards.
Yeah.
Be thankful that teams love offensive tackles this year. Be thankful for that because guess what? This could be the one offseason where a premium defender might fall to you at 18 when they have no goddamn business of falling to you at 18. Don't try to rewrite the book. Don't try to be the smartest people in the kitchen. It might come to you that way. If it's Verse, if it's Latu, if it's Byron Murphy, I like Johnny Newton. Guess what, guy? Let's not overcomplicate it. Because if it was any other draft, you wouldn't have a shot at these guys.
Hey, you can watch my show, man. That's pretty much all I'm saying. Like, you're not going to reach for stuff you don't need. They need to stop the run. They need defense. That's what you need. And all this other stuff. Well, we can get Brock Bowers on there. Who cares? We got Gesicki. That's the reason they said we got T. still. We got Jamar Chase. We don't need him. We need defense. We need to stop the run. We need to rush the passer. That's what we need to win the freaking Super Bowl. That's the whole point to this, is to win the freaking Super Bowl. Not to win a playoff game, not to win the AFC Championship game, to win the Super Bowl, win the AFC North.
Cook.
Defense does that. Defense.
Cook. Jeff Cook.
Dude, give it to me. Like, draft as many defense linemen as you can. We need that. We haven't had a rotation since the Super Bowl. When we hadn't replaced Larry O since he left. We've been trying to do that.
But guess what? This isn't about replacing Larry O. Because if I'm being honest with you, and Ev, you've been kind of quiet, and I'm kind of scared that you're probably going to go off at some point because you've been kind of quiet more so than usual. But this is not about replacing Larry O. This isn't about replacing BJ Hill. This isn't replacing about Sheldon Rankin. This is about getting a guy that can change the face of your defense.
Right.
This is what this is about. It ain't about none of that. But since we brought those up, you think 2 years is a lot? You think that's long term? It's not. A lot could happen. It's not.
Clearly
Sheldon
not.
Rankins ain't long term. BJ Hill after next year is not
And the way the
not on
Bengals
team.
structure contracts,
Right.
the 2 years deals are really 1 year deals,
Yes.
and we'll see.
Yes, because they guarantee it in the first year, and then after that, it's
1 year, we'll see. That's a very good
so
way to explain it.
again. And I feel like I'm not trying to limit the signing of Sheldon Rankins, but I do want to talk about this. Can we stop acting as if he's some guy that had like 18 sacks or 16 sacks or double digit? Half of his sacks came against who? Us.
Yeah.
Us.
Yeah.
In a 17 game, or is it 18? It's a 17 game season.
17 game, 18 weeks. Yeah.
You only put 6 sacks? And sacks isn't the only metric. Sacks isn't the only metric, but we're acting as if we got this game changer at the defensive tackle position that says, oh, we don't need to draft a defensive tackle. What? What? Let's deal in the world of reality. And that's what you get on State of the Jungle. You get reality. Daniel.
All right.
Let's keep it
Let's-
rolling.
I do
let's
want to
keep
just
this-
point out on the Sheldon Rankins front, you did say that sacks are not the only thing that matters. And out of defensive tackles last year, he was 10th.
Byron
in
Murphy.
pass rush
Byron
rating.
Murphy 9.
10th out of all defensive tackles. So like he was beating his blocks. He was winning. I know sacks again. We come back to
McCarthy,
the
11.
Right.
the sacks are nice, but they're not predictive all the time. So just one note I wanted to add on that.
100%.
Shocked the Saints don't go OT, but
Just say
that's
this.
fine.
We're looking on the board. We got some talented guys still on the board. I mean, Latu's still here. You still got Mims.
I've never seen the draft fall this way.
Yeah.
I mean, Byron Murphy goes 9
Yeah.
at Chicago, and that's a spot that we could actually see. We could see that happen.
Yeah.
Chicago
I've-
is showing a lot of interest in him.
Mhm.
Byron Murphy's a character too. I was actually looking at Devin Haney's, Devin Haney just got knocked out by Ryan Garcia, and
Absolutely. The world stood still when that happened.
bro, he said Byron Murphy was under his Instagram post like he knocked your ass out, boy. Like he said, I was like Byron Murphy, like that's the last person I expected to be trolling Devin Haney. And
They're funny, bro.
But, that's what happened.
All right. Keep it going. 2 more picks.
Seattle.
And we're on the clock, folks.
All these numbers go what 10 to them?
Fuaga
Yeah.
And then
and
Verse.
Jared Verse. All right, folks.
Here we go.
Only thing I'm going to say this: I'm not the general manager today.
Yep.
Let's not let the Trey Hendrickson news all make us make drastic decisions. That's all I'm going
Yeah.
to say. Edge was always a position where I felt like we should have been.
There's
paying more
always a
attention
need
to,
regardless.
but let's not just
Yep.
panic and do something because he just requested a trade.
I agree.
It don't matter that he requested a trade. Let's
Yeah.
act as if
I
the
agree.
trade doesn't even matter because it doesn't matter.
So let me just say this before we start. How I'm viewing this board, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 tackles still on the board. I'm not looking to draft a tackle here. If you're looking to draft a tackle, in my opinion, I'm trading back a couple spots.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at all 4 of these guys. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Olu. I like Fatunu, but at the end of the day, these are 4 potential franchise-changing guys, whether it's Barton, whether it's Mims. If you're looking to draft tackle right here, if that's what you guys are thinking, let's trade back a couple spots. But if you're not, these are the 2 premium guys. I mean, you're talking Latu, you're talking Jerzon Newton. The rest of these guys, we can talk about Brian Thomas. I'm good right now. Cornerback, we can talk about it, but in my opinion, there's way too much talent at the tackle position and defensive line. I believe both of these guys could change the face of our defense. That's how I view the board. What do you guys think?
I know you pointed at a couple guys. There's only one guy right now that I'm looking at right now, guys, where I'm like, to me, is just not draftable.
Okay.
And this may be a hot take, but
Yeah.
Olu, I have no interest in.
Yeah.
I have no interest in Olu.
Yeah.
I think he sucks. I'm just being honest with you. I think he sucks.
That's a harsh word. Is it?
I was
Is that-
gonna
is that
say,
real?
I think we might be overrating possibly one game, and I understand that came against their best competition in Ohio State, but hey, I know there's some alarming aspects of that, but he hits many of the Bengals thresholds that they're looking for. Height, weight, arm length, 40, 10-yard split, vertical, broad. He would absolutely be one that they would be interested in. And I think if they're looking at this board based on their history, I don't think Fatanu is viewed as a tackle. I think he's viewed as a guard, and I don't think he is interesting to them at this spot. I think for them, this is Newton, Fashanu, and Mims. And as much as I love Mims, I think this is between, if we're looking from a Bengals perspective at this, I think it's squarely between Newton and Fashanu. And if you want to trade back 4 or 5 spots, if someone says, hey, we love Latu, hey, we really love this, that, or the other thing, right? If someone wants to come up and pay a premium to get Fashanu, this is when I'd be taking calls, because this board has felt really well for them, where they still have multiple tackle or offensive line options on there. Maybe someone likes Fatanu for their versatility, for their movement scheme, but like I don't think the Bengals would utilize the strengths of one of the smaller athletic guards, because they're not running that wide zone system. They're not putting these guys on the move all the time. So I feel like it would be like drafting a 4-2 receiver and then asking them to run a lot of comebacks and just like, just not vertical routes, like just a lot of kind of like small area stuff. Sure, they're still a valuable tool, but you're not using their strengths entirely as well as they could be, right? So I know you are scared because you watched the Ohio State game. And that's stuck in your mind.
It was more.
I won't signify it's just one game. It's not just Ohio State.
What are the concerns?
Let me just say this. For me, and this is where I view them, I would rather take a Mims than a Olu. I saw Olu as he looked bad. Like a lot of times he relied, and he's very raw. He relied so much on his chest. He relied so much on his brute strength. Yes, he's got, good hand placement at times. I didn't see him. I don't think he was great in the run. I don't think he looked physically strong in the run. I saw him fall over his feet multiple times. I think he's got potential. For me, if I'm looking at these guys, I think Mims is a better prospect than Olu. I would take Mims before Olu. But once again, I'm looking at this. The more pro-ready guys, Graham Barton. If you want pro-ready, I think
just
Graham Barton.
started on Graham Barton.
Well, before we even dive deep into this, guys, let's keep it to what we're talking about here. I don't want to dive deep into a prospect. We did a great breakdown with Parker Blake, guy I respect a lot in the committee when it comes to offensive line prospects. But Daniel, one thing that we haven't done, you are the GM this go around. We haven't really discussed the opportunity about trading back.
Yep.
And when we have seen this draft play out before, we always see Jerzon Newton kind of go in the back end of the first round, close to the back end of the first round. And I know he's here right now. I wouldn't say trade back by a lot of picks, but maybe if we can, add a pick or two.
I would say that the Eagles have been kind of adamant, apparently, about trading up for, maybe one of these tackles, or even these edge players.
Let me just say this: how I view this. I would probably go. This is how I would go about it. I think Latu, Newton, Mims, Barton are the 4 guys. Hey, if you give me any of those 4 guys and as a trade back, I still think some of them are going to get jumped, but I'd be looking 1, 2, 3. I think the Eagles are a good spot because that's how
somebody could even be coming up. Somebody could even be coming up for Brian Thomas Jr. here too, if we're being honest.
I mean, you are the general man. Like, this is a spot we haven't explored just yet, and I'm kind of curious with the names that are on the board.
So are you guys concerned with Newton's foot? That's the one that's the reason I keep hearing he's dropping. I'm not.
No.
I'm not. See, look, like we just talked about with the defensive interior line. If Newton's there, I'm taking him. Because like I said, I want to win the Super Bowl.
You wouldn't entertain a trade back potentially?
I'm afraid he wouldn't be there. I'm too scared. I'm too scared. I'm too scared to do it. I can see it.
See, so for that, if you really like Newton, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But my thing is, let's say Newton gets taken, then that means
Latu
that means Barton could be there. That means and I'm pretty confident that Newton will be there.
If Newton's gone, then I would definitely trade back.
I was going to ask this because I feel like I shut you down when you were about to say something. I apologize.
Oh no, I was just gonna.
I was going to ask you a question actually. Do you think Olu could play right tackle in the National Football League? He looks like a standard, like a traditional.
So I am probably. I didn't play offensive line. I don't. I won't sit there and tell you that I'm a huge
You look like an offensive lineman.
I know, right? People ask me all the time, "Do you play left tackle?" No, but I'm definitely of the mindset of I don't want to continually switch guys back and forth between spots, right? So when people are like, "Oh, draft Fatanu and play him at left guard and then switch him to right tackle at the same Fuaga," I am more nervous about that than other people seem to be. I don't like to do that. I do think that he has the movement skills to do that. Obviously, Orlando Brown does not want to play left tackle, but I did want to just kind of push back in the sense that he was said to to be really raw and have a lot of development to do. Yes, well, he is 21 years old, whereas a couple of
Very
these
young.
other guys are 23, 24. So you have a lot to work with. But on top of that, if we look at true pass sets where we take away the screens, the play action, the ball coming out in under 2 seconds, he was 6th out of 142 tackles in PFF pass block grade on those instances. So what are you getting more than anything else in any offense in the NFL? True pass sets. Both Jonah Williams and Orlando Brown Jr. were top 10 in true pass sets in the NFL last year.
Yep.
You've got to be able to survive on deep drops with long developing concepts that you might not be used to at some of these other programs. And he has shown he also has one of the higher levels of career true pass sets. Like he has Fashanu, who has 273, whereas by comparison, like Amarius Mims has 104. Like I push back a little bit. I do know that he's 21. There's a lot more to tap into there, but he does have a lot of experience in pro style kind of drop backs as opposed to some of the more gimmicky offenses. So I just wanted to make that piece.
No, I love you, brother. Damn, didn't even get it
You,
back.
you
That's
shattered
crazy
my
how
heart,
that
man.
was.
I really
He-
thought
he-
I could still play left tackle.
He said, I said, I love you, brother. He goes like this. Like, damn, all right. One thing I will say is, remember our defensive coaching staff in totality was at UCLA's pro day.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I do wonder, is there a chance?
Yes.
I think
Yes.
I think there's totally a
Is there a
chance.
chance?
And I kind of talked about it a little bit last week when you look, and Evan alluded to it a little bit earlier. Osai is going to be gone after this year. Sample's going to be gone after this year. Hubbard is on his way out too. And then obviously the whole situation happened with Trey. Like obviously you can look at it and be like, oh, it's a short-sighted thing. He just requested a trade. But outside of that, there's a very good argument here that Latu is just the best player available.
If he did
Like,
not have the neck fusion
he would be
surgery,
long gone.
he would be like a top 7 pick.
I still think when draft day rolls around tomorrow that I think he'd be my first defensive player off the board if I was drafting regardless. His tape is unbelievable. The production is unbelievable. Literally the only question about anything is his medicals. If that was not a doubt, he's a top 5 to 6 player in this class. Easily. He has a production of the edge one year in and year out. Compare his production to all the other past first top 5, top 3 edge picks, and he's right there, if not better than all of them. I think it's certainly worth the discussion. Obviously, all of our defensive guys were at his pro day or at the UCLA pro day. So, I mean, it's definitely something to consider, especially with the Trey Hendrickson news. But again, it's not all about that either. He's just
Hey, just when
that
I look
good.
at it, there's just like we're going by the we kind of I'm just thinking if we're going by that metric, there's going to be a massive hole at the defensive tackle spot. Still,
There will.
There's more rounds.
But there are,
Yeah,
it is a
exactly.
very deep draft in defensive tackle. Maybe that's something you double dip on. And I feel like there's a lot of value to be had at some of these offensive positions like wide receiver, tight end, and interior offensive line, especially in rounds 3, 4, 5, as opposed to other positions like tackle.
So yeah, think too, if we take Newton or take Latu there at 18, are you kicking the can down the road for right tackle? Because Trent Brown, let's be honest, has been injury prone. Hopefully, knock on wood, he's fully healthy this year.
Right.
Are you willing to take a chance on trying to find your replacement for next year, or if you swing tackle? So that's where I go back and forth. I say this all the time on my show. I'm like, tonight, I want Newton. Then tomorrow I'll be on the draft. Like, oh, we should draft Mims. I'm like, it's so hard because those two positions, they haven't addressed them, and getting that extra guy on the inside, getting that run stopper, getting some more pressure on the quarterback is huge.
Right.
But Jackpot Joey got injured again. Our offensive line, we've had this discussion for how many years? Are you that solid that Brown is going to be healthy all year? I don't know that. So that's where that's just you guys watch my show. I do it all the time. I go back and forth.
That's where I land too. Is that you're rolling a dice and saying
Either way
I got a
you're
30% chance of Trent Brown being healthy, and I hate to be like, oh, Joe Burrow got hurt again, so it has to be offensive line when the injury happened in training camp.
Right.
It's not like he got hit.
Right. Well,
Who knows when the wrist
injury?
injury?
That one.
Well, who knows when
Well,
the wrist injury actually happened?
Sure. I think I had one. Clowney fell on him.
And it could have been, which again is not an offensive line problem.
True,
That's
true,
someone
true,
fell
true,
on top of him
right,
problem,
So-
right?
Right.
So the GM has something he wants to say.
Let me just say this, guys. Once again, we're talking about this. In my opinion, I think we should definitely entertain a trade back.
Go and win the deal,
That's
brother.
how I would be looking at
You're
it.
the
You're
GM.
I look at this. There's too much talent on the board.
If we can drop back 4 or 5 picks and get
I
Mims,
agree
I'm
with
happy.
that. Yeah.
Do what you got to do. So I would be looking, like I said,
I think the Eagles are a good one.
3 to 4 spots. if we were to make a prediction, I think last year we saw the Steelers do it. They got, I believe, a fourth. I think we could get a third.
What we got
Well,
here?
if I'm the
So
Bengals,
I don't
mean, they
know.
have
I don't know
50.
if we could get a second, to be honest. I think you're looking at a third.
Well, they
Probably
don't-
can't, but I mean, you still got
You might be able to get a third and like a fifth or something.
well, you can also put the second in there and add our extra 6th and 7th too. Like there's more things that can do it. So is that the comp second right there
That's
with
the
the
third.
53?
No, this is their second.
Well, yeah, it's their second. They have New
They don't
Orleans
have
as
a
50.
third.
They have New Orleans as 50. Might as well try to get. Yeah, it
I
don't
mean,
matter.
let's see. So what we got? This is 6th and the 7th. Oh,
Nothing.
16% chance. So what is this? 149 is a 5th round pick.
I think it's going to have to be a third, but unfortunately they don't have one, which again makes
Yeah.
it. This is the difficult
could
part of the
also-
trade back, right? Is
Yeah.
one interest to the assets wherever.
I mean, how would you feel if you did just add 97? That's a 4 move back and then a 40 pick move, a 44 pick move up. You know, that's something.
Yeah, so
That's
now we got
certainly
we
possible.
would have 2 second rounders and a third instead of 2
Yeah,
thirds. Yeah, I mean 53% chance, but screw it, right?
you're the GM.
Come on, give me something good, folks. Nope.
All right, so let's throw in Evan. What should we throw in here?
You're just trying to toss something in to juice it up enough for
Yeah,
them
just
to,
a little bit. So
Throw in next year's.
You do end up getting that discount though, which we'll
Come on.
go into that a different time.
Accept it.
All right, that's a different thing.
There we go.
I can talk about trade value.
So tell them what we traded for, Daniel.
So we got ourselves a 2nd round pick number 53, and all we did, we traded away our 97, our last 3rd round pick, and next year's 5th round pick to move up 40 spots into the 2nd.
To move
and we
down
just
4
traded back
here.
4 spots. I think this is a good move.
I love
because-
it.
because of the way the board fell. Right now, you got 2 star defensive players, I believe, on the board,
2 good
and
tackles.
you got very good tackles. So
Let's see how it falls to us. Who'd they move up for? Who was it?
they moved up.
Olu.
Olu.
See, that
Okay.
makes sense though.
Olu.
For them,
Yeah, makes
a spot that he can go and really
Let's
develop.
keep
You
it
know,
going, yeah.
Rams. This is the scary one for Noon. If you're rooting for him,
Lots is gone.
heartbreaker a little bit for me.
Troy.
Troy, come on.
These all make sense. Brian
All
Thomas
right.
Jr. All right.
Dude's still there, baby. Let's go. Let's go.
Man, I like this. I like
Can I make my case here real quick?
Let me-
100%.
So we've gone the Newton route before, right? We've gone the Murphy route.
Oh, I know.
Every time this is my problem, right? Because again, we come back to who's a tackle that you feel good about taking at 49 in the 2nd round, right? Like Kingsley Suamatia, maybe, and everybody else in front of him, if he makes it to you, right? Then you're probably kind of trying to reach on the guy from Yale in the 2nd round, or you're waiting until the 3rd round and hoping that Blake Fisher,
I think
Roger
Blake Fisher is
Rosengart will fall
almost
to
entering
you.
that 49 conversation. To be honest
Right.
with
So
you.
that's what I'm saying. These guys keep getting
Yeah.
pushed up the board. So the Bengals pick almost seems to be like 15 spots away from where all the tackles are going to go, right? Whereas, how do you feel about tackles in the 2nd round? You go, oh, you got Chris Jenkins, you got Rukarororo. What about the 3rd? Oh, you got Dwayne Carter, you got Leonard Taylor. Like, we can keep going down the line, and there's defensive tackles I like in every single round versus tackle. You're really, really rolling the dice by not getting one of these guys in the top. And Mims is the bottom of the tier where all the guys in front of him would be top 10, top 15 picks in other years that aren't stacked this high, right? We need to hug it out. We need to hug it out.
I actually agree with you.
Oh my goodness,
I
yes.
agree.
Let's go.
I agree. Most drafts, I often say, let's take Johnny Newton, yada, yada, yada. I've heard you guys the last couple of weeks.
I do.
And you guys have talked about some of the other defensive tackles. And I'll be honest with you, man. I see the vision. I see the vision here. I do agree with you. The tackles that are left in later rounds will probably scratch our head. But I'm gonna tell you what I love the most. I love the fact that we have 2 second-round picks.
Yes.
That's it. I think
That's
everybody
what
was
changes
there.
my stance
Everything
on everything.
Newton, yep.
now. So,
Yeah.
Evan, I'm gonna shut the hell up. I agree with you, man. I agree with you. This is the one time where I'll say, Daniel,
Yeah.
man, and this is don't fall into
No,
peer
no,
pressure.
yeah, I know.
I love Johnny Newton.
Mhm.
I really love Johnny Newton. And I'm a daredevil. I'm the type of guy to trade back twice. I'm
I'm a
a freak. I'll
daredevil,
tell
he
you.
said.
But I'll tell you what, man, I think that we do need to grab a tackle.
Yeah.
There. But Evan, you made the case for a tackle.
Yeah.
What tackle are you taking?
Dude, Graham Barton is probably going to play on the interior. The arms
Hey,
are just really
don't get me
short, and
started.
he has that versatility. Sure, you can probably try and let him survive at right tackle, and I'm always good for, hey, let a guy fail at tackle before you move him to other spots that are
Right.
less valuable, right? But the case with Mims is there is bust potential. Sure. There is with everybody, guys.
Everybody has their
Chase
flaws.
Young was the slam dunk pick that had no bust potential, right? Look how that fucking worked out. We don't know any better. Like you guys are talking about Fashanu. Some people are saying, oh, he's a top 10 pick. Easy. Doesn't make it out of the top 10. Now you're sitting here and saying, don't take him at, 18, 20, whatever else, right? Because we all don't know. We all disagree on this here and there, right? So the thing with Mims is people worry about the injury history, right? Again, I've explained multiple times on the show, when you have tightrope surgery, how quickly do we see Saquon Barkley, Dak Prescott come from high ankles in 4 or 6 weeks, and they got the giant wrap on their leg because they're not healthy, right? So Mims comes back in the playoffs. We always say, let's celebrate the guys who come back and bust their ass for this team even when they're injured. He does that and gets hurt again because he wasn't healed all the way. He heals up in the offseason. Then he has the hamstring pulling the 40. First of all, how many times you got a 340-pound man running the 40-yard sprint? Not that often, right?
Once,
Not
it's
something they're
over
very
already.
accustomed to. We see this happen with big guys all the time. Second of all, Cooper Kupp, Tua Tagovailoa, Peter Skowronek, Zach
Cooper.
Moss, all of these guys had tightrope surgery, had a hamstring injury within the next 6 to 8 months. There is just Amari Cooper, another one. There are just, it's a history of you have this, you compensate in other ways, you have the hamstring injury, and then you're fine. I think this is all one encompassing injury with small complications coming from it that were mismanaged. I don't think this is 3 separate injuries that he got over the course of 6 months all of a sudden. The other thing is, it's not like he played 8 games because he was hurt for the first 2 years all the time. He was playing behind Warren McClendon, who comes from the Nick Saban tree. Malik, you think Nick Saban is ever going to bench a guy who's played 1,000 snaps for you each year and is going into his junior or senior year and trying to be in the draft for a freshman? Probably not. He's going to tell him, sit and wait your turn. And we always say, don't transfer. Sit and wait your turn. Compete, right? And this guy does it. And again, we're sitting here and going, wow, why did he only play 8 games? Why did he only play? Because he waited his turn, he competed, and then he showed up, and then he got hurt because he got rolled up on. Like, I see all this. I see the size. I see the thresholds. Again, the lack of experience does not mean lack of technique. It does not mean he's raw in that regard. It means he can do a little bit more mentally with figuring out where stunts are coming from, how defenses are loading up the line of scrimmage, where his responsibilities lies, and kind of mixing up his pass sets a little bit. But there's so much ability there and so much untapped potential on top of it that this guy could easily be the best tackle in this draft within 2 years.
Exactly. His ceiling is so high. That's the whole thing. It's the swing. It's the home run. That's what those are 2 guys right there that I keep going back and forth.
You've also traded back
Mims.
and acquired another pick, which insulates you from the risk of busting on this pick.
So, Jeff, Jerzon Newton, what do you think? Him or Mims? What would you do?
And I love Newton.
See,
I love Newton. I hate the
I
offensive
just stood
tackle
on the table for Newton, all right?
Yep.
But I do like what he said about Mims. And this is why I suck at this. I keep going back and forth. Right now, the way we're talking, I'm concerned with the right tackle, and Mims could be such a home run.
Yep.
But so could Jai Newton. I'll go with Mims right now, hoping that with the 2nd round pick, maybe Newton's still there. Maybe somebody else is there that we could get. I'm going to go with Mims on here.
20 seconds, Logan. Graham Barton.
Oh, man, Graham Barton. I love Graham Barton. Obviously, what Evan said, he's not a tackle, but he is an interior offensive lineman. He's one of the most athletic offensive linemen in this class, regardless of position, no matter how you want to look at it. He's obviously, like I said, going to play inside, but he's a guy who can really play all 3 interior spots. He obviously played left tackle in college, and he's a premium athlete, and he was good at it in college. So he's just your typical, think of like an Elton Jenkins for the Packers that comes in and plays wherever the hell they need him week in and week out at an above average level. That's just the kind of value you're going to get with him. And he can come in and start day one, unlike, necessarily a Mims would. He can upgrade the offensive lineman right now, be emergency, everything else. So,
all right, folks. So, my opinion.
let's get it.
I'm going to be honest. This was going to go one of 2 ways. I was either going to stay at 18 and take the talent of Latu. I think looking at the draft, one of the top 3 edge rushers will fall. I'm very confident, whether it's Verse, Turner, or Latu. I'm very confident one of the 3 will be there. But the fact that we had all 4 of those offensive tackles there traded back, the way that this board fell, I'm going to be honest, folks. The pick, Amarius Mims.
Woo!
Bengals starting off the tackle.
Clap it up.
Yeah, I think that I think this is useful for a couple reasons, right? So
I'm not.
burnt out all his energy on the Brock Bowers earlier, so he's recovering. But I think the advantage of this, right, is like we talked about, the tackle depth in the second and third rounds is weird, and you have to kind of hope that a guy falls
That's
back.
such a Lions pick, though. Let's be real. If he's going anywhere,
Wait, did Jerzon already go?
Where there's a
I don't know.
will,
He's
there's
about
a
to-
way. Okay.
Wait,
And there's a
did
Will
he?
Son,
Pause it
there
again,
is a
Dan.
will.
Has Newton gone? Yeah, he went right after us.
He went to the
Right
Vikings.
after us. That's smart. That's smart for them. JJ and Newton
I think this
for
is
them.
just valuable exercise for us too, because again, we've gone
Knicks to
D-tackle
New England.
multiple weeks in a row. We keep hoping that. How anguishing was that Blake Fisher pick that we
Yeah,
had to
I'm
make?
not gonna
when you were
lie.
just like,
It's
please be
nice
there.
not to have to
Please
worry
be
about
there.
it.
Please be there, right? Whereas D-tackle, again, you feel like, okay, we're going to get Chris Jenkins or Rukaroro here, right? Or if you get to the third round, you go, we've got a Leonard Taylor, we've got
Fisk
a
gone.
Dwayne Carter, we've got all these other guys that we feel comfortable with. There's other options. Whereas tackle, man, I feel like
Jordan Morgan gone.
Blake Fisher and Rosengardner are the only guys I feel like you have outside of that. You're going to have to pay a premium to get them.
Jenkins gone.
And let me just say, I mean, we got some people,
Coming up.
talking about the offensive line in the chat. Like Patrick Paul's the guy. Like, guys, I'm
Legit.
I don't
much
think he's
more
gonna be there
confident in
49.
Mims
Ricky
over
Pearsall.
these other offense tackles. I'm just
All
going
right.
to say I'm not leaving round 2 or 3 without a defense tackle.
Back on the clock.
What do
And
you guys
remember,
think?
we got 49, 53, and 80. We got a plethora of picks here coming up. Number of different ways we can go about it. What's your first thought over there, GM? You're scrolling through. It doesn't look like you're loving what you're seeing.
He went way down there.
Yeah, he did. He kept scrolling a little bit.
Wide receiver room.
Worthy.
Yeah, I think
Worthy's
it's early
kinda
for
fun.
just about every. Dude, I can't get on board with Worthy.
Crazy.
I love the idea. What is it, 160 pounds soaking wet? That scares the ever living
But
shit out of me.
I agree with that typically. But when you are coming in as a 17-year-old that's 160 pounds and still putting up 1,000 yards, and then you do it again,
yeah,
and then you
you're
do it
doing all
again,
right.
and then you do it again. I certainly get it, but it makes it kind of understand it a little bit better.
Listen, I'm not concerned about the defensive tackles. I'm concerned about everything else. I mean, the defensive tackles I'm looking at, I still like all these guys, to be honest.
And that's the thing, right? Is you see 5
do
or 6
too,
guys
man.
you'd be happy with taking in the next couple picks, right? Versus tackles, it's like, man,
Yeah, they're good. But Newton is here.
Well, another thing we can kind of
That played out.
another
well,
thing
what's
I'll
the
throw
difference
out
between a
here.
Mims
you-
level
that's
prospect
nasty
versus
work.
Blake Fisher in the third? If he makes
Yeah.
it there. If he makes it there. Or you got to take him in the second.
We haven't really ever gone through this scenario. Obviously, we took Mims, we traded back. We have these picks now too. We could also just continue to shore up the offensive line and just draft an interior starter that can come in and start day one right now as well. Like Christian Haynes is totally a guy that can come in and start right away at left guard. And not
Right.
only did we just shore up our right tackle or a tackle of the future, now you got a really good interior line prospect that will come in and start right away. He's that talented. That's something to kind of consider as well here with the extra picks. Just you help the offensive line now and the future, and we still have another pick to address the interior offensive line or the interior defensive line, or just a random pick here as well. But we pick again in 4 picks here, guys. So you can,
Got back to back.
Yeah, but we just still, every pick matters. We don't want to throw this one away.
No, that's what I'm saying. Though. So
Let's talk.
this is our range for that
I
pick.
mean,
I think
too.
it's interesting that you're sitting here looking at some running backs and some safeties. And I think the way the board fell, it lined up with some positions that don't necessarily necessitate the value that you'd want at this pick, right? You're probably going to be scrolling down the board a little bit, but I think it's perfectly fine to have like a Darius Robinson in this range for another team's board. Like, obviously, we're not looking at that necessarily right now.
Would it be terrible? I mean, he's a little bit lighter to play
I would
inside.
entertain the. I would talk more about the Xavier.
Xavier Worthy, Logan, you go ahead and tell me on it.
Okay. Well, like I said with Evan, I know a lot of people really question, the height and the weight and everything. But again, it's not like he was one of these speedsters that just came out and had one good year of production. That's an immediate red flag regardless. But if you look at it, he had nearly 1,000 yards in 3 straight years as a 17-year-old, 150 pounds, as a freshman year, 12 touchdowns at a power school at Texas. Like it worries those thoughts a little bit when you're concerned about that stuff when he comes in and he produces right away. And another issue that people really have with those kind of guys is you draft them and you're expecting them to come in and kind of be your go-to guy. That is never going to be the case for him in Cincinnati. Right now, imagine him being the 3rd best wide receiver on your team. When you have T. Higgins, you have Jamar Chase, and you have a guy who can run 4.2 down the field, And then, okay, let's say T leaves, which is obviously what's going to happen. He can still be a competent number 2 to where he can kind of provide some inside-outside flexibility and just absolute game-breaking speed to open up the run game a little more, to open up Jamar Chase a little more, to open up these tight ends that we don't draft or sign or anything. Like he just provides more than just his ability on the field. And it's just having that ability to score every time you touch the football is such a fun thing. And I think the fit in the Bengals offense is one of the better ones that there really is. And look at the way the league is going nowadays. Yeah, if Xavier Worthy is going to run a streak right into a corner that's 5 inches taller than him and 40 pounds heavier, no shit, he's going to get stopped. But what are you going to do when he's running full speed across the field and then he turns upfield? No, there's not a person in the league who can stop that at that point. He's a guy you're going to have to get a little more creative with, but that's how offenses are trending in the NFL. Obviously there's plenty of issues in his, physical profile and the hit rate of guys like him. But I think you also have to consider the production he had of all 3 years with these same issues and kind of the way the league is trending and the fact he's only ever going to be asked to be a wide receiver 2 on this team.
I think that's fair. The only pushback I'll say to that, I think you made a good point that producing at 17, 18 years old at that size definitely kind of relaxes a little bit of the concern with him. I think it's also worth noting that, in the last year, he was 32nd out of 39 qualifying draft eligible receivers in yards per target. So the efficiency wasn't quite there, and yards per route run, if we want to look at that way too, he was 43rd out of 109.
Yeah. I think that kind of happens with the bigger play guys a little bit.
Well, yeah. And also he got more screens, right? He was a great yak receiver, which is something that you get out of adding him to the offense a little bit.
Something that we do a lot of. Too.
Yeah. So I look at other guys that I like so much more in like round 3. I don't feel like the drop off between Worthy to like Javon Baker, right, in the 3rd round or something.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I would even rather just 1 for 1. I like Javon Baker better. That's just me personally. I understand the tools, the special profile. I'm really interested by Rukaroro here. I really am. And I know people are going to go, oh my gosh, but he didn't have the crazy eye-popping sack numbers. But I'm going to go back again to saying this is a guy who just turned 22, I think, has the size, the athleticism that you need, is a good run defender. In terms of pass rush productivity, he ranked 5th out of 128 defensive tackles. So even though he's raw, uses his athleticism, needs to develop more pass rush moves, he still found ways to be productive, gives you more against the run than what you have right now. I feel like he is a upside athleticism project or prospect from, again, a bigger school. We know they like to pick from Clemson, from Michigan, from Alabama, from these bigger teams in these early rounds. I feel like with Chris Jenkins off the board, he's the other kind of D tackle that I would look here. I'm not, pounding the table as this needs to be the pick, but if you're looking at what's on the board right now, and safeties and running backs are kind of the top options on the board, and we've already kind of got a lot of picks for trading back, and I don't see trading back as an option here. I'm okay with taking a defensive tackle with athletic upside that we think could develop more into something else.
Look, I want you to talk about Darius Robinson.
I got you. Darius Robinson, I mean, he's a little bit, I don't want to say underrated in this cycle. I feel like he's rated pretty appropriately, but he's one of those people that you really think of like, your stereotypical like dog mentality. He's a guy he has your, again, stereotypical grit, your toughness.
6'5", 285, big, strong.
And he plays like that. And I think he's got a little bit more versatility to his game than the people, people talk about Brandon Dorless kind of being that guy that can play edge and interior. And he totally is that guy. But I think Darius Robinson can kind of provide you some of that as well. Maybe not as much, maybe not as frequently as a Dorless, but when you look at a guy, the position we're in here as a franchise, we can kind of use some edge help. We can kind of use some. Yeah, well, like we can use defensive line help no matter what way we want to get it. So Darius Robinson kind of like helps fill the need of both without like closing the door to either one of them later. You can still take a Robinson now and then go get a Dwayne Carter in a few rounds. But I mean, at the end of the day, Robinson is a pretty solid run defender. He's just more of a well-rounded player that just kind of has that stereotypical toughness and everything to his game. Versatile, tough, nosed, just does a little bit of everything kind of guy, and he just goes out there and competes week in and week out.
My big red flag for him is 12th percentile on the 10-yard split, 16th percentile on the 40, and 25th percentile on the broad, which is always a good indicator of explosion off the line of scrimmage. Like you said, this is your more traditional I'm big, strong. I'm going to control
Yeah.
the point of attack, 4-3
And
traditional.
he does do
defensive
that.
end.
At least he does that well to his
Right.
to his credit.
To his credit. Yeah. If we're wanting to go like edge, I don't know, man. It's tough. I feel weird about these like second round edge prospects, him and Marshawn Nealand. I feel like there's weird question marks about him. And the same thing with Jonah Ellis, who I love, who just I think had the fastest 3-cone ever, which is one of the most predictive metrics that we can look at for edge success. So that definitely jumps out to me. Now, obviously, he's smaller and has shorter arms, but if you're counting on that bend that you just can't stop and that speed and that hand usage that makes you slippery as all hell, if they can't get their hands on you, then it doesn't really matter that you're undersized. So I don't know. I feel really weird about the value here. I don't know that I'm going to hate any direction that we go, but I also don't know that I'm going to love any direction we go right now where we're sitting.
Well, I definitely think we should probably go defense. And the other people we talk about, those are the two.
What do you think?
I think ones that you should try and get, but I'm still going interior. I mean, because you have not addressed that, and that's too big.
Remember, we have 4 picks.
Yeah,
we also have 4
yeah,
picks.
but the farther you back, the less talented it is. That's we need people. We need an impact player as best we can on the interior. That's where I'm at. 'Cause
But you
Jenkins going-
don't reach though.
So
true.
For me, what I'm thinking,
There's some good guys here still.
Yeah.
I'm really debating between a couple guys. I love this entire defensive line right here. So for me, I mean, we got 2 picks back to back, so I'm kind of looking at 2 prospects in particular. I really do like Darius Robinson. I think that he could be very good. I'm going to be honest. I'm looking at Xavier Worthy right now. The only way I want one of these 2 guys. So whatever.
general manager.
Yeah, no, I'm asking you guys though, like what you guys think. I think Xavier Worthy is a game changer. But I want to end up with one of these 2 guys.
I'm surprised that Xavier Worthy is here right now.
Him, and I also think Darius Robinson is great, a lot higher. He's going to be at the draft, I believe. He's gonna be a top 40 pick.
Yeah.
If we're going based off film, I think you could make an argument between Burton and Worthy. But if you're just going right now based off of what we know from Dane Brugler's draft guide and from all the inklings from everybody else, to where some teams have him just off the board or aren't going to bother with him, it feels like, even though the film, Matt Harmon called him a potential first-round pick of reception perception from Yahoo Sports, who does all the route charting. The film is great. It's the off-field stuff that, people are still trying to sort out, right? For Jermaine Burton. Yeah. So again, like the production profile is there.
Yeah.
The size is the only question, as well as the off-field. So I feel like you could probably, if you wanted to get him, you could probably wait at least until the 4th round in the real draft. Now, obviously, here in the simulator, that's not being considered. Yeah. So I feel like Worthy would be the more realistic pick. I love some of these other guys like Jalen McMillan, Javon Baker.
And I think that's the cool thing, though, because we're looking at it and it's like, oh, man, I do think Xavier Worthy is a game changer. I agree with you with that, man. And I don't think that in 4 to Jeff's point, in 4 picks, I don't think he'll be here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
no, I see that.
Let's not overcomplicate.
Yep. I agree. All right. Xavier Worthy.
All right.
Cincinnati Bengals.
Love it. Lassiter gone. That would have been a good little pick too.
I was thinking about him, man, too.
Yeah, some of these corners are interesting.
All right.
Bro.
Same exact board, pretty much. I mean, lost some of the corners, but
Bar for bar.
I'm looking at it's defensive line.
Gives me tight.
Cooper Beebe is still here. Cooper Beebe is still here.
The interior O line, man. I still like Haynes. I think he's still here too.
I'm looking because I still believe. So we've still got 80. I think we can get one of these guys.
Hey, bro,
Dwayne Carter, Michael Hall, or Tavondre Sweat there. I really think it's going to be between Darius Robinson and Rook. I like Rook. The only difference with Rook is, I mean, I like these guys better. For me, the drop-off between Darius Robinson and the rest of the edges versus, I mean, Braylon Trice is still here too.
Yeah, I mean, even like a Michael Hall here, I don't think is terrible either. Pretty similar to Rook that Evan alluded to as well, just an athlete, gap shooter. If we're looking for, again, like more of a tweener, Brandon Dorless, another guy that can kind of do a little bit of
Jonah's
both.
profile is exceptional.
awesome.
His production is exceptional. His athletic testing is exceptional. His pass rush win rate was 18th out of 180 defensive ends. He just wasn't he's not a great run defender, 91st out of 162 in run stop percentage. But again, the best 3-cone ever, which is like
ridiculous.
The Bosas were like the benchmark is a sub 7 second 3-cone. If you have under 7 seconds, you've got, I can run under the kitchen table at full speed bend, like the Von Miller bend, right? That's what they say.
Yeah, that's
They
real.
said, get under the table, right? You can run under the table. Like, and I look at all of his testing numbers. I see that production. I'm like, dude, like,
I'm shocked he's still here, honestly.
and that's a guy who has been a late riser, right? Guy who, as soon as he did that 3-cone,
This
dude.
is why I don't work for the Bengals. I would have already tapped out already. But it's good we got to wait on this stuff. Fell, but I didn't take it.
If you're looking for a guy who's got bigger size, can
Those
hold up
edges
against
just
the
fall
run and
off.
kick inside, you're looking at Dorless, you're looking at Robinson.
That's the thing to
Tell me about
consider.
Dorless real quick.
Well, I think Dorless, like I alluded to a little bit earlier, he can play 3-tech. He can be your bigger run defending edge.
Right.
And that's just kind of that's the vibe he gives. He's going to be a solid pass rusher wherever he goes. But again, he can be more of a run setting edge, more of a pass rushing 3-tech. He can just do a little bit of everything.
Here, can I just make one?
Yeah, go.
I just think that if we really like the interior defensive line guys, right, like that are on, we're going to be able to get a guy. I really believe.
I agree. I
And
agree.
I think that Jonah Ellis and some of the other edge rushers right now are probably the last of the Mohegans that we can really get a shot at before we really start questioning some of these other guys' player profiles. I think that, to Evan's point, you look at Jonah Ellis, while he might not be like a great run stopper.
That pass rush
that
upside
pass
is
rush is
crazy.
insane. It's
Like
nuts.
that's
To me,
that
it's like-
athletic profile is. It made even again Daniel Jeremiah stand up and go, we need to pay more
Yeah.
attention to
No.
Jonah Ellis, which is why he's moved all the way up there.
I love the thought of an edge here.
You got to pay attention to the edge position. I just feel like I'm not the decision maker, but I just feel like
It says the Bengals going to trade Trey Hendrickson. We gotta
Yeah, I'm debating between Dorless and Ellis right now.
What any consideration to an interior offensive lineman player?
At this point, I like BB, but to be honest, I'm dialed in on the interior.
I love the interior line class, like in the middle rounds.
Like Christian Haynes still here too. I feel like this is good value for him as well.
It
Like,
is, yes,
like,
absolutely.
there's still some solid guys there. So I'm pretty comfortable with every direction I think you're going to go, unless you throw a total curveball.
All right, last thing is Jonah Ellis' size a concern? He's smaller as an edge rusher, 240 pounds.
To a degree, but
I mean,
but-
but like if he doesn't have the short arms and the size, like we're easily talking about a first round prospect here.
GM.
All right, with the 53rd overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, your Cincinnati Bengals select edge rusher from Utah, Jonah Ellis.
I like it. I like the
gonna be
switch
happy,
up with
yeah.
our picks there, man. I really do.
It's completely different from
I really do.
the previous ones we've done, man.
No, and if these next few picks fall in line too, this is going to be
Just some
tough to
more on
beat.
Jonah too, just to kind of paint the background,
Yeah, keep
because I know
selling
he's
him.
not a guy that we've talked about a lot. 6th in sacks among edge defenders, 6th in pass rush wins. He was also, let me get my chart back up here on the edge defenders, 19th out of 152 edges in pass rush win rate. You want to factor in the sacks too. He was at an 8.4 pass rush productivity, which was 36 out of 182. So this is a guy who just has the athletic profile and the production to be able to do a whole lot more, even if he is a little bit undersized. But we've seen them dip that way with guys like Joseph Osai, and we've seen guys come out like Nolan Smith. These other kind of tweener guys that you're going to put on the edge and just say, hey, use your superior athleticism, bend, and hand usage to keep guys off you and stay clean and get open and get after the quarterback.
And I want to
Luke
resurface.
goes all the way in
Yeah.
third.
Patrick Paul is 73 too.
third.
I want to say again with the whole the idea of edge, again, this was a position of need regardless of the Trey Hendrickson news today. We still need depth in the area. Like I said earlier, Osai's a free agent after this year. Sample's a free agent after this year. And then regardless of what happens to Trey, he's just going to be 1 year older. Sam Hubbard has been getting worse and worse in the pass rush department, getting older and older. So I think just adding more juice and more athletic upside there was always a need. I think just this whole Trey Hendrickson thing just kind of made people realize it even more. And okay,
BB still there.
well, yeah.
Mason McCormack.
Evan,
Kyrie Jackson
is still there.
Why
You're
does this board
kidding.
Look better?
Kyrie Jackson is still here.
Okay.
Braylon Tribe.
Is it time, Logan? Do we get on the table? Stand on the table with me, brother.
Dude,
Come on, get on here.
I used to. There's a couple people I know.
Yeah,
This
you're right.
board is weirdly, really, really, really good. At
Oh
age.
my God! See, this is the
Baker,
thing.
like-
Javon Baker right here.
Bro,
God
Dominic
bless,
Pooney's
like-
still here, who I love as well. Like, there's some arguments to be had here.
So I guess the Javon Baker thing, just to touch on that, I know we already picked Worthy. It just, he checks a lot of what the Bengals like. in the same thresholds, kind of comparable in a little bit of the size metrics to Jalen McMillan, who they've met with and like a lot. Javon Baker, 4th out of 39 receivers in yards per target. Javon Baker also 4th out of 109 receivers in yards per route run. I mean, that's just production at a high level. He was
good,
recruited
man.
by Alabama,
Went
to Alabama, ended up just transferring to a different school and just immediately had impact. Things have been going on in the Alabama wide receiver room for a couple years. So I don't know that always the best players are getting on the field or getting used the right way, but that's my own personal opinion on that.
I agree with you. We agree. Roll Tide. We agree.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide.
I love Tavondre Sweat here personally.
Yep.
I love Tavondre Sweat here. I understand the concerns. I know the Bengals really like him. He was obviously brought in to meet with them. They met with him a couple of times throughout this entire draft.
And then what happened?
process. Unfortunately,
And now is he
But
off
here's the
their
thing,
board
here's the thing.
entirely?
No,
though?
I don't believe that. And let me tell you why as well. So one thing I'll say, and again, I'm not the general manager, but I'll say this. I think the biggest thing that Zach Taylor always preached was culture, right? You'd hope that 5 years in, the culture is established.
Yeah.
And you could take on a guy. It's not like he went out there and he beat somebody up, right?
Yeah.
It's a DUI,
He
right?
didn't call it Uber.
Yeah, he didn't call an Uber. Guys make mistakes, and obviously it's a pretty big mistake that he's made.
Yes.
And I will tell you this: there have been other players in Cincinnati that have had issues as well. Some stuff just don't make the light of day. You don't hear about it, but I think the situation here is, I think the talent to me, and I like Michael Hall. I just think the talent of Tavondre Sweat. This is a guy we were talking about. We were talking about him in the second round before.
Yeah,
all
you
this
get
stuff
in the
happened.
third. I'm running to the table to get Sweat. I mean, with his size, speed, I mean, it's worth it, dude. I mean, beginning of this, I was, back in February, I'm thinking second round. Now, if you get him in the third, like,
I think you just
Dude,
love it. I
he's
think you love it. I think you love it for the way that
he's
kinda-
the most replaceable guy for DJ Reader.
Yeah.
I mean, he is. And
He is. He's probably the only guy that you have. And so this is the tough part, right? Because Dane now has him going, I think, round 4, round 5 with everything accounted for. And it's not just the partying off field and not really taking things seriously with football until your senior year when you're about to go get drafted and make a payday, right? It's also trying to manage your weight. He can't play at 366, 370. I know it's fun to say how big he is, but like you got to get down to like 345, 350. Your body, you're not going to hold up. You're not going to be healthy.
We're hoping this is a wake up call for him. We're going, dude, you.
Well, the thing is, right, if he came to Cincinnati and said, hey, I had my wake up call, look how
Right.
great
And
I
then
handled
he goes,
things
I
this
know,
year.
yeah, I get all that.
And so that's where I'm like, so if he
know.
just looked them in their faces and said, I've turned over a new leaf,
Right, and then he goes and
does that, I think they probably go, nah. We like team captains. We like guys who love football. We like guys who are gonna, put themselves on the line for the team. And it's like, I don't
agree
know
with
if
all that, but I
love the player.
It's
If I take my heart out of this,
I'm in love with him too much personally. So that's just me. I would be taking him just because of the potential.
I
of
think
what
he
it
would
could
be a good pick here. I think
it's too hard, too much talent to not take at the spot.
I think Michael Hall would be a good pick here. It's a little early for Leonard Taylor, but I do like him, and he
Dwayne
meets a
Carter.
lot of the.
Big Dwayne Carter guy.
The only thing is
Alright.
Dwayne Carter doesn't meet a lot of the Bengals' preferred thresholds. Now we're starting to get into the third and
I know.
fourth round to where that doesn't matter as much. They're willing to deviate from that, but Leonard Taylor is a guy who much more aligns with what they like.
Man, I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
GM's ready.
I have a request though.
Let me hear.
As soon as we make this pick, will you
Yes.
pause the draft
4.
so we can talk about things?
What do you think?
Like,
What do you want to talk about?
I'm not much.
you talking one of these
Yeah,
guys?
I'm not much of a trade up guy.
Yes.
Like that, right?
But there are so many people I like here, whether it's an interior offensive line, whether it's Kyrie Jackson, whether it's, there's so many things I think that it could be worth possibly moving back up for. Like, obviously, I love
Dude, Christian
all-
Mahogany is kind of low key. Really
There's
good
so
on
many
the
of these interior
too.
offensive line guys here that I think could
All right.
literally come in and start.
So what we're gonna do? The theme of this draft is game changers, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. 6 batted passes, 5 batted passes. That's the most in the
You'd
entire.
love your batted balls, man.
I'm telling you, Tavondre Sweat is a game changer. We can work with the weight. We can work with his issues. I do like Michael Hall a lot. Not super productive. I do like Dwayne Carter, super productive. It's round 3. Give me Tavondre Sweat.
I like it. I like it, guys. I like it.
And before we say Tavondre Sweat is not a pass rusher, Tavondre Sweat ranked 5th in pass rush win rate out of 128 defensive tackles, 1st in run stop percentage, and 18th in pass rush productivity. So yes, he is.
Who do you want?
Well,
Kyrie
here's
or
the thing.
Cooper
There-
Beebe?
There's still a couple options in general. So I think we can even wait a little bit.
All
I
right.
like BB. I like Van Pran. I like Mahogany. I
What do you
like
like?
Mason
Ky-
McCormick.
like Kyrie
and I love
Jackson.
Kyrie
Yeah, I think
Jackson
he said pause.
more than anything. So you can resume it for a few, but like once we like, how do you guys feel about it
Kyrie
too?
Jackson, Cooper BB would be
Van
the two.
Pran's good still. Mahogany, McCormick.
So
There's still plenty.
all right.
We might even be lucky and just keep waiting and waiting and waiting. But I wanted to throw that out there to you guys as well.
Well,
Well,
All right, well, Kyrie Jackson's gone, Evan.
I hate my life. I quit.
I mean, at this point, there's still a
Can
lot.
I pause that?
yeah.
I know the Bengals basically have shown zero interest in Bucky Irving.
No.
No.
I like Bucky Irving.
I
He got picked.
refuse.
He got
I
picked.
refuse.
He got picked already. He got
Thank
picked already.
Christ.
I'm
Okay.
just saying that dude's electric.
Someone
I-
explain that. Somebody. Okay, hang on. Let's go
I
ahead.
will.
Somebody fucking explain this to me, please.
There-
You
yeah,
hit me
a
in the
fun
fucking
little
head
thing
here.
about
Okay.
Bucky Irving here, real quick for you, F. He had what, like 400 something receiving yards. He had 500 yards after the catch. He had a negative ADOT.
You know the fun thing about Bucky
Funny.
Irving is the fact that you're 5'9" and 192
What's
pounds,
wrong with being
and you
5'9"?
still have a 2.2 athletic
So
score.
bad.
That
I was
is
surprised he
so
tested that.
unbelievably
I was
bad.
shocked. Let me
Shocked
ask
he
you,
tested that bad.
But my thing with running backs, he breaks a ton of tackles.
Buddy,
Bucky Irving
he
breaks.
is 5'9", 190. We're talking 20th percentile, 6th percentile,
does
arm length,
he
10th
break? Does he break
percentile.
tackles? Yes or no? That's what I want in a running back.
he also might
And
just
for
be the
me-
best returner in this new shit ever.
Well,
He
hasn't
broke
had a chance
tackles in the
yet.
Pac-12. Like, I'm happy for you, bud. Like,
All right, he's off the board. We don't.
I just-
Let's not say it's all about Bucky.
You're
okay?
small and a 10th percentile athlete. Like, I'm just not interested.
Malik
Malik
Wright.
Wright. Damn,
That's a fun
good pick for
fit.
the
That's a
Texans.
fun fit. Oh my! I think I'm a
Oh,
BB.
damn it.
I mean,
There's
Cooper
still a
Beebe,
few left.
man.
There's still a few left.
No, I'm all right. I just, damn. I love Cooper Beebe, man.
Me too, man. McMillan. They don't really need more receivers. Green Bay, but that's a good pick too. Lloyd, that's a good fit in Tampa. Ravens are gonna do it. I knew it. They took Christian.
Let me know down in
they
the
took
comment
Christian
section what
Hayes,
you guys
too.
want us to do with the next pick. That doesn't mean we're going to do it, but I just want to hear
Ravens
from you
Rice, the
guys.
Chiefs.
I don't care.
Screw them.
He's going to get dogged.
Johnny Wilson.
Johnny Wilson to the E. That's such a weird pick.
I don't know.
it's like
16
they used to have
picks to
that.
us.
Who was that?
On Alshon Jeffrey?
Yeah, no, him and there's a dude that had
Eric
like,
Alton.
Travis
Commanders.
Fulgham?
Travis
That's such a Commander's pick.
I also want to point out
Michael
about the
Pratt.
Xavier Worthy pick. One thing I do like about him is
Yeah.
he had a more diverse route tree than
Yes.
guys like Brian Thomas Jr., who had 70% of his routes be hitches and goes and comebacks.
Michael Hall to the chart.
He can
Even,
run the hell out of it. He is so quick. His route running is very
And
good.
Troy, who's the
Troy
wide receiver?
Franklin?
Troy Franklin. Troy
Yep.
Franklin also had a very limited route tree. So,
Yep.
like, Worthy has a much more diverse route tree and experience over 3 years doing a bunch of different things as opposed to those receivers.
And the thing with Xavier Worthy is put him in the Bengals offense. T.
Yep.
Higgins, Jamar Chase, Xavier Worthy. We've seen so many times. All it takes is 2 passes to change the entire course of a game.
Whoa.
I think Xavier
Wow.
Worthy
I-
Okay.
I
Woo.
love, man. Dominic Pooney almost made it all the way back to me.
Brandon
all right,
Jackson,
I gotta-
love him.
running
One, I know
backs
this is a
are
guy
still
that
here. Tanner,
Oh, man. Knowing Brendan Rice is here is kind of like,
Dwayne Carter.
yeah, it's funny. I was talking with Logan about that. I was like,
What, Dwayne?
I'm listening to Dwayne Carter here.
Double down.
Here's the thing.
I-
This is
I-
a guy that Parker Blake likes.
Yeah.
Christian Mahogany. I want to sing his praises just a little bit.
Stover got
all right?
drafted, by the way, guys. I
Yeah.
saw people in the
Just
So-
a few picks ago.
So
Christian
they've been
Mahogany
sitting- so they've
there.
been sitting.
93rd percentile vert, 86th percentile broad. You're an explosive guard. We want more athletic guards, right? 9.63 relative athletic score. You want to get more off athletic on the Bengals O line? Great. Talking about interior players, out of 109 guards, he ranked 7th on true pass sets. In run block, he ranked 15th out of 113. So he's top 10%
Mhm.
among guards in college for all
Mhm.
of these metrics for run blocking and pass sets. The real ones, not the fucking bullshit Oregon pass sets, not the bullshit Oklahoma pass
Bucky
sets.
Irving really got you going, didn't he? First
Tell
out of
me
your
that's
mouth,
not the-
Oregon.
tell me that's
Screw
not-
that place.
Tell me Oregon is not just drop back and sling it to the outside and let that quick game be our run game,
Bo
right?
Nix is so good at
But
it.
then that's a pass blocking, right? That's a pass
Yeah.
blocking rep for someone. It's not real. So Christian Mahogany is just a guy who's performed at multiple levels. I like him
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jeff, give me your thoughts on. I mean, because I think
The running
we're
back?
looking. I like Mahogany. I like the defensive line. Who do you like?
The enemy, the running back you just brought up.
Yeah.
Because we got this. I hate to say scat back, but
Yeah.
the Chase Brown and Zach Moss. We get the faster guys. We need that hammer. He's one I liked him when I first saw him or first noticed him was in the first game of the year over in Ireland when they're playing. His legs are freaking tree trunks.
Yeah.
They're huge. And he's one I've had scouted out that I would love to get him. I would have a hard time not trying to take him here, but I do like you got a good point there with the guard there because you could push that guy can come in and push.
I mean, that's a guy who could literally start over Wilson right now, and the odds that he ends up here instead of round 3, like
that's where I'm like, well, every time we do this, I got 2 guys that I'm like, well, I want both of them, and I can't get them both. So, but I'm like, I don't know. But the running back is an issue. I think we need that big bruising guy. We've got the guard, but I also want to improve the guard.
So let me say this. This is how I view the draft right now. I view Mahogany, Dwayne Carter, and Estimate. To be honest, the rest of these 6th and 7th rounders, I'm going to move up for one. I want 2 of those 3.
That's what I was just going to say. We can move up from 149 to grab. I think I would go to one of the interior defensive linemen. I think I would maybe go interior or like Mahogany here, and then immediately almost get back up on the phone for Dwayne Carter.
I'm curious. Who would you go here?
Mahogany's probably my answer.
Yeah.
And this is because I think
start, man.
I think this
right
is best
away.
player available. I think this is an immediate upgrade over Volson. I think this is a guy who has shown and demonstrated that he can play at a high level in both the run and the pass game. The only really red flag I have is his height is 29th percentile, and I'm just not that worried. 6'3" and a half.
He's 5'2".
He's 6'3" and a half, 314.
My size.
A little older.
Those guards are big boys.
Little
man,
older.
all right? But
So pretty much done. I'm sold.
How aggressive are we going to be?
I'm going to
moving up
trade.
here?
To be honest, if our draft ended with Mahogany and we trade up and get another guy, I am so down.
But you got to be quick with that hand.
Yeah,
You got to be quick with that hand.
Start
I
pressing.
think Christian Mahogany's probably
All
my
right,
third
let's
ranked guard.
Celebrate Mahogany before we draft him, so Daniel's hands are free.
We celebrate the pick.
Come on, Daniel, don't mess it up, man.
Whoa,
We're good. We're good. It's coming. They took Tyreek's, but it doesn't matter.
All right.
Okay, so it's the Colts. We can still. How much do you want to
are
let
we
it
in
rock?
agreement? Dwayne Carter.
How much? Yeah,
I'm
how much
looking
are we letting
Dwayne
it
Carter
rock?
or the running back Estimate.
I even like Leonard Taylor here at this point. Mason Smith might even still be here. There's a few. I wish we could look at the board of who's
Yeah, that's the one downside.
a few of who's left because I like Mason Smith if he's still here. I'm not sure if he is. I know Leonard Taylor's still here, so that's another guy I like with Carter. So just how much do we want to wait for it?
So Leonard Taylor is definitely going to hit a lot more of like the Bengals thresholds. I think they're going to like.
He's got fun upside.
Also was a lot more productive than Dwayne Carter, just both in terms of run stop percentage, pass rush win rate, pass rush. He was 8th in pass rush win rate out of 128 defensive tackles last year, playing out of position.
And he
right?
played nose a lot.
Right.
He,
And
was,
so
he might not
that's
have been
the
the
thing.
best at it, but he was.
But that's the other thing, right? Is
Those
Dwayne
good
Carter,
reps.
part of the appeal to him is that he's played 320 snaps at nose tackle in his career.
Yeah.
Now, he wasn't elite at that. He was average. But again, this is about, does BJ Hill rotate in like he did last year when DJ Reader went down for that? Do they pass these duties off to each other and say, hey, we're just going to get multiple guys who are 300 some odd pounds and we're all going to take whoever has the strongest guys, and then we take a nose tackle in round 7 or a priority free agent, and then we say, hey, if we have goal line downs, we do that. But otherwise, and I talked to Logan about this, maybe they just adjust the front to where they don't have a nose tackle.
nose.
Obviously, if you have Damon Harrison, if you have any of
Sweat
these,
now.
right? If you have Sweat, if you have these guys, yeah.
So that's why you get that's your Samaje Perine replacement.
I do like a lot of these.
That's where I'm like, I'm going.
This is a great spot for running back between Estime.
We got the right tackle. I'm going the right tackle. That's just me. Because losing Perine last year hurt us.
Yeah.
We didn't have a he's to replace.
I will say with the whole interior thing too, we obviously got Sweat. We talked about how BJ Hill will be a free agent after this year, and Evan said it too. The way the Bengals structured these 2-year deals that Sheldon Rankins is on is 1 year, and then we'll think about it. That's exactly how his contract is set up too. So there's a chance that next year our starting interior will be Sweat and whoever the hell we're about to trade up for. That's a decent possibility.
So Carter tested a little bit better, but he is a little bit older. I feel like Leonard Taylor has a little bit more upside, but I feel like Dwayne Carter, the appeal is if you're asking him to rotate in on pass rush downs, rush from the 3 tech, rush from the 5 tech, he can do that. He has a pass rush move set. Like he's not one of those guys who just wins with that.
It's Carter. It's Carter estimate right now. Yeah,
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well,
And
then-
I'm cool with either of those. Audric Estime was exceptional last year, man.
So
I just-
how late do we move?
I think
how much do we?
I'm-
Because you got looking out in Indianapolis, obviously in the AFC, not that much of a deal. Seattle, NFC doesn't matter, but then it's the Steelers. We already traded with the Eagles.
I mean, we could.
We can wait a few and then reassess. You're the GM, sir. You make the call.
Listen, I like both of them equally. I'm gonna wait 3 picks. If one of them gets drafted, I'm trading up immediately. Estime Carter.
Jeremiah Thrash. That's a good pick. I like Thrash. All right. Are you just gonna
I
wait
think we can wait a
regardless?
little bit, honestly, man. We got a couple
Brandon
prospects
Rice
on the
goes
board
to
we
the
like.
Steelers. Okay.
It's like-
Estime Carter. To be honest, it's
We still got Taylor here still too. Another.
Wow, Isaiah Davis goes before him.
I mean, shit. We just wait.
Audric Estime to the Texans.
The thing is, I feel like there's.
that's your
Look,
guy.
I like Estime, but at the same time, there are other guys like Isaac Garendo. Tyrone Tracy is a guy who,
He's gone.
dude, he's already
He's
gone.
gone. Yep.
Mm.
I was
That's the
looking
guy
at
who
it.
the more I
was
looked
looking
at him, the
too.
more I was like,
Good,
dude,
man.
I know he's a little
Tyrone
bit
Tracy.
older, but like the fact that he converted from running or wide receiver to running back and then looked as good as he did, like, oh man, he's really interesting.
I think you're probably. I mean, I'd probably try to give up this year picks here. Obviously, you're GM, you do what you want, but we already give up a 5th for the future.
All right, so a 5th,
And another pick
6th,
next
and
year.
next year's 7th. 7th round pick, guys. Whoa, what's going on there? Oh, I don't
Well-
know. I press accept. Whoops.
Well, then you're lucky he didn't just go. You wouldn't have walked out the room.
49.
Sorry, the facts didn't go in by 4 o'clock.
Wait, see now it's at 71.
Tip up the round 7.
I was saying because now we're looking at this point too. You still have Leonard Taylor to consider. Like
I don't think we need to force it as this is
Yeah.
the guy we have to pick, right? Like
I
there's
think
Braylon
now.
Allen. What do we think about Braylon Allen? I think
I like Braylon
Yeah.
Allen. I don't know who's exactly still on the board.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, Leonard
I would
Taylor
first-
was
Will
here.
As I said, we might be able
I
to
would be
wait
surprised if
until-
Braylon Allen is here.
I would wait until one of Carter or Taylor come
So
off the board.
Here's
then
my
we
thing with
pause
Will
and
Shipley.
reconsider.
You already have the
So be
smaller
watching
scat
Daniel.
backs on the roster.
Be
That's
watching
not
for
the
them to
role
come
you
off.
necessarily need
Anderson.
to fill.
That's a good pick.
Wingo, that's a good pick there too. I didn't even think about him.
There's guys in this mid. There's some
This
later
mid-round
round
bit is
prospects that I
getting
really do
more
like,
and
man.
more
We'll look
intriguing.
around. We'll find some.
I agree completely. Brownlee's a good pick. Ravens having a good draft as always.
Honestly, Kendall Milton from Georgia is a guy you can probably get in the 6th or 7th
Braylon
round
Allen.
too.
Goes
That
to Niners.
he's really good. Who-
Isaiah
who went?
Adams.
Kendall Milton.
Dude, the more I look at his numbers, I'm like, why is
We
he
just
not
go
going
lock
higher?
out. Nope, Dwayne Carter. All right. So now we're Leonard Taylor
Top of the 5th.
or just
But I don't feel like you have to because you've already got your 3 tech. You've already got your
yeah.
nose
Okay,
tackle.
Yeah,
like,
we were trading up for those guys that got picked. So
What-
we don't want to panic and then just
Okay. I'm cool.
Dwayne.
Mate.
Cornelius Johnson.
Our GM sounds depressed.
No, I'm honestly, I'm fine. I really
Look,
like Dwayne Carter.
here's the
but
problem when
Caffrey-
you've got 20 of my guys. You can't get them all, right?
This, is the one,
that's
this is
what
the
it
one
is.
draft that
Will Shipley to the
he-
Chargers.
He got us. Good for him. He's the
Harbaugh
The-
strikes again, man.
He's the Danny Woodhead, the Austin Eckler.
Yeah. That's actually a great fit with Herbert.
who?
Will Shipley.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, 3 picks. I mean, I'm not gonna.
We'll see how this thing
Don't
shakes out.
jinx.
And a hush fell over the crowd.
All right.
Cedric.
And there's Leonard Taylor staring you in the face.
Mason Smith is pretty interesting too. He's a similar.
This
more
is
of a
probably
similar,
the range where he's
The
one of those guys
upside
who could
is
go
stupid.
2nd round or 5th round, and I wouldn't be
the
surprised.
upside is ridiculous with Mason Smith. Obviously, very boomer bust.
Oh man.
We got Malik's favorite unathletic
man.
edge
Oh, my
rusher.
God.
You said what? No.
Wait, who?
We're
Nelson
laughing at
Caesar.
Nelson Caesar.
That's not even who I was thinking about. I was thinking about Zach Zinter.
Oh.
Bro, I'm
Yeah.
totally down to double.
We did already go
offensive
guard
line.
though.
I
We did already-
I love it.
Remember, 3 of our interior
Are
offensive
up in the
line
next
are
2
up
years.
next year.
Yeah.
For me, I think Zach Zinter is a guy that we wouldn't even be talking about him in this range.
I don't think Leonard Taylor should be here at this point.
Yeah.
And I
There's
think
a-
he
there's
definitely
a lot
gets
of
the
good
upside.
More
players
good
here.
value here. I don't
But
think
again,
this
the
is ever
draft,
fun
I
like
just want to say
that.
that. I'll say, I think the draft is for the future. And Zach Zinter
What
is a
pick
guy
number is this?
that truly probably would have been talked about
149?
Yep.
Yeah.
2nd round, maybe even
149.
borderline first.
50 picks
If he was
until
healthy.
next
Like, I'm not looking at, this, that, I'm not overcomplicating. I think Zach Zinter is an absolute beast here. This is a guy that, Michigan players and coaches all raved about. And it's very much like the guy from USC last year. who the
Voorhees.
Ravens lined up.
Voorhees.
Andrew Voorhees, and I think he's going to be he's going to want to be a great player for the Ravens. I really believe that.
Yeah.
And I just think Zach Zinter, we would not be talking like the Bengals' biggest issue is we want to bring competition in for a guy like Cordell Wilson. We also want to make sure that we have guys in place for the future because Alex Kappa's contract. Are you going to pay Alex Kappa? What if Zach Zinter shows you something and you're like, okay, well, that's what the draft's about. That's what being a good front office is about, is preparing for the future in case you miss out on a guy. So I understand we're looking at a lot of these guys right now, but we do have another pick at 194. And I think there's going to be somebody that we still like, but I don't think Zach Zinter makes it that far. I think he makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons.
I think he and Leonard Taylor don't make it here. I think Jaheim Bell's interesting here. I think Cam Hart is interesting here.
And I'll pull your card. I'll pull your card. I'll go extra. If you love Daniel, if you really, really love
that's just there's 4 people right there that I'm like, I'd be happy with any of those guys at this
Leonard
point.
Taylor, trade back up for him. But I think Zach Zinter, I think this is I think that's a no-brainer.
So how I view this, honestly, Leonard Taylor, Gabriel Murphy, Cam Hart, Zach Zinter, all of these guys I'd be fine with. I really do want one of these corners, whether it's Jones, McLovin, Cam Hart.
I don't think you need to take them right now though, because I think
that's why I think
right.
We're fine off of there. I want to end the draft with one of them. Leonard Taylor, it's between Taylor and Zinter. I do really like Gabriel Murphy as well.
We got our
Jonah,
he is
Jonah,
extremely
Ellis.
small, like the bottom of the spider chart.
He's good
like,
though,
and
man.
He's
He is
good, but
good.
you are short arms and short, and just you are a smaller player.
I'm a sucker for offensive
And we did
line.
already kind of go
Late
I
draft.
just
smaller
think
edge.
Zinter. We would be talking about Zinter if we would run to the podium if he was there. If he was healthy, if he we would be running to the podium. This is a guy that's absolute. Can you go to his profile?
We still have 4 picks to play with after him too, like you said, Malik. If we did want to get aggressive again,
And I think this has got to be a trenches draft.
Yes.
That's
You
gotta trust that.
You got to replenish it, man, because like you don't want to be in a situation where you're like, okay, let's start Jackson Carmen,
Yes.
in a spot, especially in a big time game. I think Zach Zinter once cleared of the medicals will be a starter for you.
Good
in
run
the
blocker, fits the power
Yeah.
scheme. Yeah,
I mean, Malik said it a little bit earlier, but Ted Karras, Dante Smith, Carmen, Trey Hill, all free agents this time next year.
Sometimes they bite themselves in the ass because they don't look ahead towards the future. Okay, well, we might be losing this guy, and then you then find yourself in a situation where you either got to go crazy in free agency for a guy, or you've got to overdraft the guy in the first round because you didn't think a year in it. Like we're trying to get on the same level of some of these other organizations like the Ravens, right? So that means we have to think like them. We have to prepare for the future. We have to. That Xavier Worthy pick guys was a pick for the future.
Yes.
Like every move that we are making is a move for the future. And I'll be honest with you, I'll go a step further, man. I know the Bengals. Well, I know we're the Bengals, but the Bengals like Dalen Holker, the tight end from Colorado. I'm okay if we get to pick 194 and Leonard Taylor's off the board because he's a guy that I really, really like. I'm okay with drafting a guy like Dalen Holker because again, you're not going to solve every issue in the draft. You're hoping to solve as many as possible for the future.
The thing is, if you're getting Mims like we did in the first round, and you're getting Zinter now, those guys that can, like you said, can replace people who are losing. Helps money wise.
Yes.
So they got to get to more. They stop spending so much freaking money on the offensive line. They got to be able to draft and develop guys. This is what we're talking about. This is what has to happen for the future because people were losing.
Yes.
And just for signing Chase, signing whoever else we're going to try and sign. You got to get so much money off this offensive line.
guard is only getting more expensive too.
Right. So and you got it. I'm with you on this.
And then guess what? If for instance, let's say Zach Zinter gets healthy and he proves himself, you don't then have to say, you know what, we're going to shell out a bunch of money to keep Alex Kappa.
Right.
You don't have to do that, right? You're in a better spot. So that's just my thoughts. You have your guard spot set up for the future.
Both of them. We drafted Mahogany too.
Yep.
Both of them.
So you got those. So next year, guess what the only issue you have next year? Oh, damn, we need to find ourselves a starting center unless we bring back Ted Karras.
There you go.
That's his name.
All right, folks. So
Petty, tattoos and what I call them twos and
the ones and
hats.
twos.
Yeah.
All right, you guys sold me. I like it. There's a lot of guys I like here.
If you disagree with us,
No, I agree. I think at the end of the day, we'll leave this draft looking at our offensive line saying Zinter, Mims, and Mahogany. That is the offensive line for the future.
the Bengals better leave this draft feeling like, damn, our offensive line is set.
Right.
Yes.
Like, it's just that simple.
All right. With the 149th pick.
You seem
22
reluctant. I'm just gonna be honest.
No, okay. The only
You seem
reason listen, I like Zach Zinter. The only thing I'm saying, I'm looking at our defensive line. Maybe I need to learn a little more about Jonah Ellis. I watched him. I thought, extremely explosive. I'm still kind of concerned about our defensive tackle. That's the only thing. But if we're
But what are you concerned about? Because hear me out.
yeah,
The spot that you'd be drafting at Leonard Taylor, number one, you're banking on potential with Leonard Taylor. He's not
Yes.
going to see time on the field. He's not going to replace time on the field over Sheldon Rankins or a
Yes.
or a BJ Hill. He's not going to.
Yeah.
You got the nose tackle spot set up when you drafted Devondre Sweat. So
Yeah.
what are we like? Like if there,
You'd be
there's going to be
replacing.
other.
You'd be replacing Zach Carter's like 400 snaps.
Yeah.
Which
Which I mean, you hope.
I'm with you. I think. Listen, with the 149th pick, 2024 NFL Draft, Cincinnati Bengals select Zach Center. I'm happy with it.
man, I love
We
Jackson.
don't even have to worry about the
Yeah.
offensive line.
Oh, Leonard Taylor goes the next.
There he goes.
I just think there's such like we kind of hit all the heads here with why you should draft some offensive lineman like him later.
Mhm.
Just a high floor guy that you can kind of count on to be at
He's
least an
right.
average.
If he's
Guard.
healthy, are you putting him over Cooper Beebe?
He's probably in that similar-ish tier, yeah. You know, so I think there's no
Damn,
reason to be upset about it.
Man, I'm not the biggest Jaheim Bell person, but you know.
He's a unique guy. You got to be a little creative with him, which is fine. Gabriel Murphy to the Bills.
Go pick.
All right, well, we still got 4 picks. That's kind
Yeah.
of great.
Still got some picks, man.
Honestly,
That's
I
wild.
mean, I'd be.
Hey.
But my thing is, if we're looking to move up, right? Because you said,
There you
I mean, because
what are we moving up for?
But I mean, yeah, like
Walter Rouse was a pretty good pick there.
I don't think you have to necessarily move up for anybody at this
I
point.
agree.
These
No,
are,
there's-
these are
there's
like
no-
priority free agent picks.
Yes.
basically.
The only
Jordan
thing I would
Travis
look
gone.
to do if this is how everything failed, maybe move our 7th this year for 7th next year that we traded or something
Yeah,
like that.
right.
You know, that's the yeah, that's the
now
that's
Since
Caesar.
Caesar goes to the Eagles, he's going to do great.
that's
there.
a good fit for him.
He's going to do
That
great.
is a
there.
good fit for him.
I'm sure.
And everybody, a good
sure,
fit. For the 20.
I'm sure Nelson Caesar's going to be fantastic in the NFL.
Devontae Foster is a really, really good value there. Really, really
Javon
good value
Foster's a
there.
good pick for them.
Really good. Yep. Some interesting people here.
Yeah, we're. All in all,
15
how do
away,
we feel about the
14.
draft? So
I love it.
I'm
It's-
very happy with
The board is
way we
falling in
traded
a
back.
very weird way.
Yeah.
Like it's fallen in a very weird way.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lemmer.
One of 2 of our guys are going to be here, I believe. And Evan, you know who I'm talking about.
It's going to be the same argument we had last time.
It's not going to be an argument though. 'Cause
No.
I'm okay with whoever. Honestly, out of
Well,
the 2.
Why not both?
I think this is the spot where we address the cornerback
Yes.
spot. Though. I think
I
this is where we do it.
I would even hate taking 2 of them.
I think you
at
get
this
a guy
point.
right here where if he was 21.
Oh,
Houston.
Yo.
Who'd they take?
The White McLovin.
Okay, well, they make it easy.
Should I trade up though?
Look, so here's the thing, like
Please
with the
don't
guy
take
that I
the
think we're
Patriots.
probably going to end up taking.
All right.
Gorindo. That's a good pick for them.
Yeah. So looking at cornerback, I think our guy's going to be here. My guy's going to be here. So just Elijah Jones. Look, you don't get this type of ball production, speed, size without him being 24 years old.
Or did he
If
return
he's-
kicks?
If he was 21 or 22, he would probably be going in the
10
second or the third
touchdowns.
round. 6'1.5", 185, 31-inch arms, 4.44 speed, 97th percentile vert. So he has the explosion. 20% forced incompletion rate on targets, 25th out of 153, 18.1 passer rating when targeted, second out of all cornerbacks. That's literally throwing the dirt is better. Throwing into the dirt is statistically better than throwing in this guy's direction.
Mhm.
And he covered guys like Johnny Wilson, like Keon Coleman in
Yeah.
playing this season. So, like, again, if he's not 24, I think he's going 2-3 rounds
Yeah.
sooner. He also finished with 6 picks and 5 forced pass breakups. So
Right.
you got ball production, you got size, you got speed, man coverage skills, stays in phase, does a good job contesting jump balls. Could use a little bit better feel in zone, but
Yeah.
that's something you can teach, right?
Yeah.
That's something that you can teach a guy to play the areas better. And when zone eventually matches up with somebody, he's going to be as good as anybody matching up because he's going to have the athletic skills to do that.
I don't know if you heard me, but he has 10 touchdowns in the last 3 years. Did he return kicks at all or anything, or did he just have 10 pick sixes in the last 3
I honestly
years?
did not look at the special
Me
teams
neither.
aspect, but I'll
Because
tell you
I
what.
saw that and I was like, what
if
is
he's
he
got
doing?
that speed and he's so either he is doing a
What
great
is he
job at
doing?
making plays on the defense or he is offering special teams
That
versatility.
is unbelievable.
because that's
That's for a cornerback either way. I'm taking him.
right.
Yep.
There's still
Like again, this is
guys,
the
man.
production level that you
I
can
agree.
get in this at this late. I don't know why
good-
he goes this late, other than he's 24 and he weighs 185
And in
pounds.
round 6 too, you look at it too, man. Like you're probably getting a guy that could be a productive starter at
Yes.
some point for you. So like I think this is really a home run. Like people, I know a lot of people logged off and they were upset after the Mims pick and they were like, "Oh, screw this, bro. You guys suck." But like don't leave the store, don't leave the show too soon because I think you'd be pretty happy with the way the draft.
This has been awesome.
We literally answered.
I know people are upset because they're like, we need an impact player round 1. Okay, then you need to go wide receiver round 1, or you need to go corner 1 round 1 because those are the guys who would be starting immediately. Like, is Jerzon Newton just going to flat out start at nose tackle? Like, probably not. They'd probably say B.J. Hill and Sheldon Rankins, and maybe Newton rotates in and plays 600-700 snaps. But like, if you're like, oh, he has to play and give it, well, then you're drafting wide receiver.
Right.
Like and you ended up getting that guy in Xavier Worthy anyway. So you don't need necessarily that instant impact from your first round pick because you're getting a guy who helps your offense now and helps your guy in the future with Xavier Worthy. So I know people are just like, oh, pick the guy who's going to give you 800 snaps right away. But like, that's 1 or 2.
That's how you end up with bad players usually.
Right.
So I'm very confident in this pick.
Knock it down.
The 194th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, your Cincinnati Bengals select Elijah Jones, cornerback, Boston College. I agree. I don't think he'll be here. I think if the Bengals took him in round 5, I'm happy. If the Bengals,
right, I think that's perfect time. Again, like why he lasted this long and why people aren't higher on him. Again, 24 years old, and your weight is the only thing.
His
I can
film
really
against
think.
Florida State.
Now,
that's all I need to see.
Now he's not like a great tackler, but he will at least get in the way. He will be in there, and he tries. He's just light and gets moved around a little bit. But I mean, again, I'm not asking for him to be Mike Hilton. I'm asking for him to cover guys downfield on the slot or on the outside, and I think he can do that just fine.
Dang it, Jalen Green, man. That's a guy I was going to for our next pick too, man. That's a guy.
I'm going to go ahead and call a shot here because I'm pretty sure this guy is going to be here. But Kendall Milton, man, is just 22, coming out of Georgia, was productive in the SEC, 4th out of 43 running backs in yards per attempt. 4 yards after contact per attempt, was 5th out of 43 as well. Elusive rating was 17th.
Running backs, don't take him here.
They looking at my guy.
There you go.
No,
So I see a guy who's been productive in the SEC and is only 22 years old and offers you that power profile in Kendall Milton. And I think that's the guy you can get late. Tip Ryman. Oh no. Oh no, absolutely not. I will, even this late, I'll be like, he has no upside. He might be your tight end 3.
there's a couple guys we can bring up here, but check out the running backs. I don't even know. I think maybe we could. He's right there, 260.
I'm with you. I'm on board. I'm a huge Kendall Milton.
See, like where again, maybe he's not a good receiving back. I'll give you that. But again, we aren't asking you to come be that. We have Chase Brown. We have other guys who are smaller. We're asking for a guy with power profile, and like I think Kendall Milton can be that.
And the fact that he's even here still is like, yes. And we saw him produce, like you said, in the SEC at a high level, starting for a program like Georgia. I mean, I just think that this is a no-brainer pick as well, because at this point, you're trying to, when we talk about the drafting best player available, when you get to this point in the draft, man, I feel like if you're able to get
a guy who will be on the roster and contribute, that's a hit.
You're getting guys that could potentially, have that starting upside.
And the thing is, once you get with the talent that the Bengals have, once you get this late in the round, some of these guys aren't going to make the team anyway because we don't have enough room for them. So I mean, you're going to take best player available, and you get lucky. Maybe they do make the team, maybe they don't. But the Bengals don't have that many holes, to be honest. So that's where we're at when you get these late rounds.
And let me just say the point that you made earlier about the differences in the running backs. The difference between a Chase Brown and a Zach Moss and a Kendall Milton, that's what the Bengals need.
Right, exactly.
And 6'1", 200-something pounds.
220.
Give me 6 to 8 rushes a game. Right. If he could even do that downhill, that's a win. So listen, guys, I'm a fan. Kendall Milton. With the 214th pick in 2024 NFL Draft, your Cincinnati Bengals select Kendall Milton, running back, Georgia.
I like it.
Yep.
Tip Ryman to the 49ers.
And he didn't have a good
became the
40
next
in the same vein that Audric Estime did, but his 10-yard was 86 percentile. So again, doesn't have the home run threat long speed, but short areas, 10-plus yard runs, 4 yards after contact, sign me up.
And let me just say this. We got 164 people watching. We appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you guys like this video. I'm just going to say this, Evan, right? For running backs, 40-yard dashes don't mean anything. It's the 10-yard split. How many times
and your agilities
are these running backs getting 30 yards down the field? So rare. It is the 10-yard split. Show me what you do behind the line of scrimmage. And that's why I think a guy like Kendall will get pushed down because he doesn't have a great 40, but the fact that his 10-yard split was very good. We're back on the clock. Wow.
Yes, that we are. Right away, I like Tanner McLaughlin there too, a tight end from Arizona, former wide receiver. I think he If
You
you're
think he
looking,
stays at wide
Dylan
receiver?
McMahon, why is he so low?
Let's talk about Dylan McMahon.
I'll
Why
talk
is he
about
low?
Jonah. I mean, the thing is, like, I've talked about it all war room. I talk about it all the time on Twitter. I'm a sucker for versatility, and if I can get a guy that has played 300 career snaps at 3 different interior positions, there's so much to like with McMahon. We've already spent 3 picks on the offensive line. I personally do not care about. There, we still need all the bodies we can.
Let's talk
but
about that. For a second.
9.81 relative athletic score gets you more athletic on the interior. 12th out of 62 centers in true pass blocking grade on true pass sets, like the valuable
Well,
ones.
let's talk about him, man.
Yeah.
You made mention as the picks that we have made on offensive line. If we're thinking about that, right? We've drafted our future right tackle. We've drafted our future guard. We've
Both
drafted
guards.
both guards.
Yep.
We've yet to draft
This
that
is the
future
center?
Yeah.
Your
Right.
line is literally taken care of. Set it, forget
Yeah.
it. Don't worry about
Yeah.
it for
I know
3
twos
years.
and hats is popular in Cincinnati, but
Yeah.
And
you got to think about it.
what I'll say is, if we leave this draft, we're going to leave it. If we take him, that's 3 interior offensive linemen we've
tackle.
taken
And a tackle.
and a tackle. If 2 of those are or let's take out the tackles. If 2 of the 3 are long-term starters, that is a win.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
a freaking home run.
I think out of all the picks we made, I think Zach Zinter is who I'm the most confident in.
Yeah.
In being like
I like him.
long-term, like productive.
And let's say even he's not. Him and Dylan are going to compete, and one of them is going to step up into that role. And I'm very confident that if competition breeds success, and I
I mean,
think
competition. You always want competition. You always want to have guys fight for the jobs. And I'm always trenches. You can never have enough trenches. And this is a trenches draft. We have not addressed the offensive line enough in the Bengals. You got to get, like I keep saying, you got to get the money off of this. You got too many guys that are free agents that are coming up. Can't pay all of them.
It's time to get all those
do it.
projects out. The
Yeah,
Deontay
exactly.
Smith experiment is
Exactly.
over. Like, we're
Jack
done.
Farmer, love it.
Right.
Yeah, we need somebody better. Yeah, that's
Right.
just the way it is. I mean,
Cody Ford, Max Sharping, these
Right.
cannot be your solutions.
right,
They're
exactly.
not.
We need athletic young guys who can be here.
Right.
Who can make an impact next year or the year after that for our offensive line.
I'm not a huge Nugent
No.
fan. I like McMahon a lot better. I think his production profile is a lot better than Nugent.
all right, best player available.
I think that's a winning pick right there.
With the 224th pick in the 2020 NFL draft, your Cincinnati Bengals select Dylan McMahon, center, North Carolina State.
And you feel good about that. I think you feel good
Feel
about
great
that
about
pick
it.
right there, man.
Feel
And
great
then-
about it.
We I'm surprised we kept all these like later picks, right?
I know.
Yeah,
I
we
think
could-
we
I'm
ended
okay
up
with
with
it. And I
I think we
think-
ended
I
up
think
with
you're
players
okay with
that'll
it.
make the team and provide
I mean, at this
things, which
point,
is
we'll
which
see.
is oh yeah.
Well, what does that
there's
do, right?
Tanner
Tanner
McLaughlin.
McLaughlin's a
There's
guy
still
like
some more.
If you have these younger guys all competing, that gets you younger,
thing.
more athletic, and cheaper. More importantly, for these guys that you have to pay money, T. Higgins, Trey Hendrickson. Right.
Right. Out that offensive line. That's just facts. If
You
want
can't
to do
pay
it.
all your defensive linemen $10 million a year and all your offensive linemen $10 million a year,
Just go down.
and your wide receiver 30, and your quarterback 50. Like it adds
Yeah.
up too quick.
I mean, I will always talk about my linebackers here, Dallas Gann, and my guy from Washington, and I will never try to pronounce his name. Jalen Ford, another one good. That's pretty good.
I
there,
like
too.
the idea of linebacker here, and
yeah.
I like our guy from Washington, Aduafon
Yeah.
Ulafosio.
Yeah, highest man coverage grade.
Can I make the
Trey
case
Knox.
for our guy at linebacker here?
I'm here.
The Washington linebacker Aduafon Ulafosio. Okay.
Yeah, we talked about a lot about. Yep.
All right, so 10-yard split, 70th percentile, 40-yard, 85th percentile, vert and broad, 93rd percentile. So a 9.67 relative athletic score. So you get an athletic linebacker. 20th out of 97 linebackers in run stop percentage, tied for second out of 127 linebackers in coverage grade. So a guy who was productive against the run, also good in coverage. Was that a bit of a fluke? Well, we know that sometimes that coverage score can be fluky. Look at Jermaine Pratt from a year ago, right? But ultimately, you're getting him this late because he's 24. He's 6 foot, undersized for a linebacker, 15th percentile. The weight's at 236, which is, bigger than some linebackers are being these days, or those safety hybrids. But again, this is an undersized guy who tested like a great athlete, has production against the run and the pass. I'm willing to take a shot this late on a guy who can do that.
The only other position I'll throw out there, Fabian Lovett, more of another true nose tackle kind of guy. Again, you're probably wondering where the snaps will come, but then he can take those Josh Topu snaps. He can take those J. Tufele snaps from last year and just a pretty damn good run defender for a 7th round pick as well. Just again, late in the draft, you're looking for guys that can make the team that have elite traits in one way or the other. I think Lovett provides pretty good run defense here, but obviously I love our Washington guy. I'm still not saying his name. I
call
love the
him
man
Eddie.
coverage ability. Yeah. I mean, obviously I've ranted about him plenty in the past. There's weirdly, I'm cool with a lot
on
of
board.
people.
Like I said, I think with the linebacker, this is one position that doesn't get talked about enough. I mean, you got
Just add a little depth, just a little upside swing.
And he's probably gonna be a damn good special teamer in the
We
league.
did lose.
Right.
We did lose Marcus Bailey, right?
Yeah.
He's still out there.
He's still out there.
I'm
Hopefully,
so-
you're hopeful that they maybe.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
With the 237th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, your Cincinnati Bengals select Edifuan Olufoshio.
Word for word.
Linebacker, Washington.
Most impressive thing of the night.
That's Turbo.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
That was a tough one. That was a weird one. That
was
really
a
made
weird
us
draft.
think.
Yeah.
That really made us think.
Why did we agree on
That was a fun one.
I'm getting to you, Malik. I'm wearing you down. I
That
got
is-
you. You're worn
Hey,
out.
PFF
You've done a lot of
not a fan.
shows. I'm just wearing you down bit by bit.
Wow, that was one of the worst grades we've gotten.
I know. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah.
It's really if you're ranked, if you overdrafted them based on their rank, they're
It's
gonna
also
hit it.
positional value. Like I know they had Zach Zinter rated lower on their board. They're going to grade this according to the PFF board.
Yeah,
We were drafting
that's what I
obviously
said.
off the public consensus
And
board.
just, our common knowledge and everything. I really do like this. I really do like it.
I really like this draft too. I like the way that it shaped up. Do we regret trading back at all? I don't.
No, not at all.
Look,
Not at all.
I know people are going to be upset and say that you don't get impact players. Xavier Worthy, immediate impact player.
Yes.
Look, Amarius Mims, you're saying he's going to sit on the bench. Well, again, Trent Brown has made it through 1 out of 3 seasons.
Even
for his
Orlando
entire
Brown's had his
career.
fair share of
Right.
flare ups.
Like Jonah Ellis, okay. Do you guys feel like Joseph Osai should just be given 200-300 snaps? Do we feel like Cam Samples 500 snaps or just not? Well, that's the thing, right? Is there were 700 snaps from backup defensive linemen last year that are just. Do you want Zach Carter and Sample? I like Sample, but I think Ellis has a lot more upside and juice than a lot of these guys. If you don't want, look, this people say, how are you going to pay Sam Hubbard? How are we going to get younger? Or Trey Hendrickson, right? Well, Sam Hubbard's getting older. Sam Hubbard's not been that productive, and if he's just a run first defensive end in the pass first league. You start kind of being like, man, like, how do you find ways to justify continually keeping him on the field as he gets closer to 30 and also costs $10 million a year? Like, that's the tough part. Maybe Jonah pushes that. Tavondre Sweat is starting probably immediately at that nose tackle spot and giving you pass rush upside. Christian Mahogany probably battling with Volson, and I would venture beats out Volson. Elijah Jones, I've said it before, I'll say it again. The corner 3 has played over 2,500 snaps in the last 3 years.
Yep.
Like corner 3 on the boundary plays a lot. They are small. They get injured all the time. Cam Taylor-Britt's already had injuries. Corner is the 3rd most injured position based on any position on the football field. Elijah Jones would get some run in this. Or DJ Ivey coming off the ACL, but I don't feel as good about
Or
that.
a random free agent, yeah.
Right. Kendall Milton can fill it in right now as your downhill power ball running back if you need him to. Big man, I don't think he pushes Ted Karras, but again, next year, right now, what if Ted Karras goes down? Again, do you want to rely on Trey Hill?
Yeah.
Oh, we never signed Ted Karras.
Again, you don't stay healthy at all 5 O-line spots back-to-back years. You
Yeah.
don't. It
You
does
don't.
not happen.
I think my favorite thing about the draft, Malik alluded to it a lot, is just building for the future, building for the future, building for the future. But I think we kind of mended the fences more than people I think will probably give us credit for, because you look immediate needs. You want somebody in the interior defensive line, and you probably want a receiver. Well, we drafted Xavier Worthy. We drafted our 2 Texas players to fill those needs with Worthy and Sweat. So those are immediately your impact players that can come in and truly make a difference. But you still added plenty of solid to really, really good future players at tackle, at edge, at all 3 interior offensive line spots, running back, linebacker. Like, I think we did a good job of finding the value to get us to help now while still being able to take best player available for the future.
I agree. I think that this was a very underrated draft. What are your final thoughts, General Manager?
I
not saying like that,
love
general
it.
manager.
I love the way the board fell in round 1. I think it was essential that we traded back. Really, I love every single pick. The one I have to get sold on is Jonah Ellis, to be honest. His potential, if he can get up to where he's potentially can be, I'd be so happy with it. But besides that, everything else, Xavier Worthy gives me a difference maker at wide receiver. Tavondre Sweat gives me a difference maker potentially at the defense tackle spot. So happy with the 2 interior offensive linemen, guys. Elijah Jones will be a
He's
future
happy about
quarterback.
Zach Zenner. Let's go.
I am. I think Kendall Milton could be a long-term running back for the Cincinnati Bengals as a depth guy. I love those two. So really the only guy is Jonah Ellis. But besides that, I'm a fan of it. This is how you capitalize on your picks, and I love the fact that we traded back. So I'm happy.
Love it, man. We want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to the final State of the Jungle War Room episode. Jeff, I want to thank you for joining us, man.
Yes, sir.
Of course, man. Why don't you tell the people where to follow you at, man?
Oh, you can follow me. It's the YouTube channel Sports Strawberry Ice. It's on every day, Monday through Friday, live at 5:30. Follow me on Twitter or X. I still say Twitter.
Yeah, I say it too.
Facebook, YouTube, all that stuff. Got a draft show. Watch those guys. I do a draft show Thursday night too. But these guys are better. Check them out. But you can check them out anywhere. Under Sports Strawberry Ice. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been a lot of fun.
Of course, man. This has been a lot of fun, man. And you do a great job. Been on your show several times, man. And remember, we were actually there discussing the Jackson Carmen pick.
Yes, we were.
When I told you they was going to go there. When I told you they were going there, I was sick to my stomach. But, let's hope that we don't have any draft picks like that this year. With that being said, guys, I think this has been a good draft. It's been a good draft. This is so long to the First Star Logistics Studio, that this current one, man. This was our last show recording here on Friday. We unveiled the new studio, which I'm pretty pumped about. But we will be live for the Bengals round 1 reaction to whoever they draft in the first round tomorrow night.
About 24 hours.
About 24 hours. I'm pumped up for it. I'm excited for it, guys. It's going to be different. But you know what? Tom Jones, to answer your question, yes, we had a video come out. We will be doing a live draft stream, not a party this year. But we hope that you guys still tune in because we still will be doing giveaways. And the only way to tune in and get those giveaways is to tune in to us for a chance to win. But so long to the War Room, man.
Yeah.
So long to the War Room. Tomorrow's the
It was a
real
good season.
deal. It was a good season.
It was
Good
awesome.
season, right? Good season. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. We appreciate the well wishes. And